Oh God, here it comes! Oh, hot, 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 hot! Hot, 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 hot! Hot, hot, hot! Mr. Marsh, we apologize, and if it's okay with you, we would like to present you your long overdue trophy.
Mag.
Snake.
The following program deals with a controversial subject. The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation.
The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Saturday night, another Modern Comic Mayhem here on Beyond Wednesdays, where tonight we're going to open it up to the other content creators out there to jump on at some point throughout the show. We're going to talk our best of the years, favorite moments of the years. What do we think for 2025? All that fun stuff. But we're going to start it off and get into some content really quick, just so I can get it out of the way, because I feel like we got to go over FOC for sure, right? I mean, it's this FOC this week is cover heaven in a major way. Ladies and gentlemen, the link is in the chat for any of you guys that want to join us. I'm currently joined by our boy Nate, John from Heroes Reborn Comics, and Igor, and we're gonna talk about some of these. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see any of these FOC books. Did you?
I haven't seen any of them.
Oh my gosh, man.
I saw some. Billy did the top 10.
Shout out to our boy Billy, Economics and Comics, who does a great job with all these every week. Larry, what is going on, my brother?
We made it to 2025. We're alive.
You're 100% right. We have made it. We have made it. How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. I'm just gonna hang out and see what's going on. I'm gonna read a comic during tonight's broadcast and give a live review.
Nice. What are you reading tonight?
Tonight I'm gonna read for you Magic #1.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Nice.
There you go. All right. So Superman, Absolute Superman, number 4 comes out, and they're all great covers. But look at this, Raza.
So good.
Unreal.
So good.
That is awesome. I love the new look of the Absolute Superman's costume, and how it's like functional, the way the cape is functional, the dust particles of the sun. I mean, that's badass.
That looks like it can be a movie poster.
Right?
100%.
That's exactly it. Yep.
It's probably one of my favorite covers for this FOC.
This one's really nice too. This is the Pulaski cardstock. It's okay. It's good. Kari Andrews. Anyways, you also have the Spider-Man, the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man variant. Scotty Young, we saw that really big jump on the second print, 1 in 25 from the other day. That was crazy. So, a big jump. What else do we got here? This Birds of Prey Panosian. I don't know. Did you guys see this?
The connecting covers, so good.
That's a great cover.
Yeah, it's 2 covers. It's a connecting cover.
Oh, wow. No, it's not like a just to open up.
I don't believe so. I think it's a connecting cover. I don't think it's a wraparound, but I could be wrong because I saw 2 different pieces. Somebody posted as 2 different covers.
Okay.
Let's take a look. They're doing 2 different covers for one book.
I think it's for 2 different issues, if I'm correct, but I could be wrong because I saw somebody posted in.
I think the only tough part is if it's right down the middle. I don't want her eyes to be like offset, but I mean the art's great.
Yeah, look at that.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yep. You're right.
No, I mean, I think that means that's one cover, right? Is the next one on 19? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it would have been really cool as one big cover.
Yeah.
A wraparound cover. But it's really good. Like
That
it was
really
definitely really good.
sucks. What a waste. Next we have, speaking of Panosian, Panosian going up against Souza Micah tonight for the cover of the year.
We know who's gonna win.
Where did that go? Damn it.
I've stuffed the box for Harley.
Oh yeah. That thing is freaking unreal, man. All right, let's see here.
Ever since Leg was talking about how awkward the position is of Wonder Woman, I'm like, now I can't unsee it.
How is it awkward? I don't understand how it's awkward.
I don't know. Something about the arm, the way it's up, and her chest. And it's a good-looking face, but the body just doesn't look right.
Exactly.
But like I said, he said something and it messed me up now. Now I can't unsee it. So
I don't think it's that off.
I think it's
unless it's coming like the shadow or like the under the arm.
I think she's like kind of like turned one way. She's walking and she's kind of.
She's kind of turning.
Yeah.
Because
you're saying that her head's too far. Yeah, they're saying her head's too far this way.
Oh man,
her right like armor looks a little more pointy than the other, so it kind of looks like the other side is a little more flat.
Yeah, because I keep thinking like she's coming at you a little bit. So there's a little more angle.
Yeah.
But it is beautiful. It's definitely beautiful.
Everybody's a credit.
Yeah, this right here is.
I mean, just that is giddy up.
Yep. I don't think there's a better cover this year than this one. Even and I said it forever, even though I love the Mark Spears one. I think these two are the clear.
Even with the Harley, like you look at the hat, just the way it like the tears that go across the top, like everything is just so clean in it.
Yeah.
It just looks, man, it looks good.
Yeah, the sticker is awesome for that. I wish he would do a low, really, Alex Ross does really high quality prints that are like limited to 150 copies, and they're really high quality. She needs to do something like that with this.
Yeah,
I would totally buy that. Get that framed. If you guys want to vote on this, we're gonna announce the winner by the end of the night. So here is the link to vote on this. You can also vote on the rest of the stuff, which is series of the year, new series of the year, cover artist of the year, and publisher of the year. All that stuff is in the description of this video, and it's also in my community tab on YouTube. So you guys should be able to navigate to that pretty easy if you want to get those links. All right. Let's see.
Souza, she has a really good cover, this FOC.
Who, Souza Micah?
Mm-hmm.
This is the Tula Lote Cam Girl #1 cover. Kind of weird. She's got some beads.
Anal beads?
Yeah. 100% right. 100% right.
Yeah.
Nate just sold a lot more of those covers.
I'd say. Yeah, there's cover year for 24, 25. Year. Anything with anal beads will have a certain category, its own category.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. There's some really good fucking covers this week for FOC. It's unreal. This Daredevil cover is so good.
Yep.
The red band, number 2.
Yeah.
Ah, so fucking good. I remember when they solicited this. I think I used it in the thumbnail that week. It was unreal. I like this Scott Koblish variant for some reason. It reminds me of like Three Stooges because it is a Three Stooges homage, right? And that's how you guys take it, or am I wrong about that?
I was missing the third head.
All right.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Three Stooges, yeah. But that's Deadpool. And let's see here. There's a Liefeld variant for that. There's
supposedly it's his last
Why
issue.
does his look so bad? That's the problem. Like, why does his look so bad? Like the guy who should look the best, like it looks.
For his last cover too. That's supposedly his last Deadpool cover.
Is his mouth eating his nose? Like what is? He's got a badge between his eyes. I can't figure it out. Like what is going on there?
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. Anyways, this one's badass though.
It makes you wonder if the colorist or the inker just didn't know like how to cover it up or something or fix it up.
Because he looks like he has a little beak almost. Like it's coming out.
Yeah. Yep. It looks like he's chewing his bottom lip, like you said. Or he's trying to swallow his nose.
And then he's got an unusual jawline.
Yeah.
If you... Oh, I don't know. Again,
yeah, if Blake doesn't like Wonder Woman's arm, he's going to hate Deadpool's jaw.
It's pretty crazy, this Bjorn Barron's one.
That's cool.
Yeah. The doll parts covers they're all amazing. Cruel Kingdom stuff. We'll go check out the Jay Stevens on that, but look at this cover right here. That's badass.
That is cool. Look at that castle coming through the skull.
Right?
That is
this supposed to be like a Don Quixote type thing? I wonder. That's badass.
Brian, that's got to make your skull. That's got to make your skull collection.
I know, right? That is awesome.
That looks good.
Grim Tales of Terror. That's a creepy cover, to say the least.
Wow. I'm not coming there for Halloween.
The Candy Lady. Jesus.
Yeah, she's pulling that right out of her pocket. There's no wrappers on that. Wow.
Which one you going to? Look at this cover right here. There you go. Where's Red Hood when we need him? It's a dope Godzilla cover.
Oh, that's very cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Terrible IDW logo. Yeah, that's really cool. I like that a lot. Gunslinger Spawn has some good covers. You got Hack / Body Bags, Tim Seeley. And we've got Immortal Thor, it's Jeff. It's interesting. Justice League Adam project. The cover of the year category starter, the Magic Pablo Villalobos variant. What do you think about this, Larry?
I think he might have stepped away.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to call him Stan. Because I see the South Park character.
Yeah.
Yep. I love this
that.
cover. It's so good.
It
Probably
is.
one of my favorite covers by him now.
Oh yeah. Let's see here. This Moon Knight's pretty badass. That Derek Chu new champions is interesting.
Is that the like new Magneto or Magneto's daughter,
I
or
think it's his daughter,
they
right?
just or a new character?
Let's take a look. Hell Rune. No, I don't think that's it. Magnetrix.
Maybe a new character.
Lorna Dane, daughter of Magneto.
Oh, she is.
Yeah, Lorna Dane's Polaris, isn't she not?
Yeah, but this is a new character.
It's a younger
Magnetrix.
version, right?
Yeah. Magnetics will make her first in-story appearance in the upcoming New Champion series in 2025. So this was Magneto number 3 from 2023. That book's gonna take off
Yep.
if it's not already.
Wait till we get that skin in Marvel Rivals and watch it take off.
Bro, I
100%.
can't believe. Hopefully, when Swag gets here, we'll talk more about Rivals. But I can't believe what's going on with Marvel Rivals.
Is Swag coming in tonight? Because I'll wait for him to talk Marvel
Yeah,
Rivals. Because me
I
and
believe
Swag
so.
have been the champions of this game.
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to the Haas. I wait your arrival.
What did you think of the new Magic cover from Lobos?
I love it. I thought this was done before, but it actually wasn't. There's an image that's similar to this that's on the box for the Magic Legends figure by the same artist. Really gorgeous stuff. I will be buying this.
Yeah.
Larry, let me ask you a question. I saw some of the comments before. People really love the cover, but everybody thinks that arm is wrong. I think it's like a thing
that
that
arm
enhances.
that's hanging down. It's too long.
Yes. Is it, or is it like an enhancement that she has on her armor, and that's not her arm? It's actually her armor that's longer.
Well,
than
there's
her arm.
armor on her arm, but her fingers are her fingers, right? And that arm does look kind of long. I mean, unless if you had pointed out to me what you just did, I would have never have noticed it. But now that you made
Really?
like me visualize it, you know what I mean?
So it's not like
Yes, I would
extension of
agree.
her power. That's like just
No,
making like
she's not
hands-
Mr. Fantastic. She doesn't stretch out
Okay.
her arm.
Oh, I
She's
don't know.
Freddy
I'll let you
Krueger.
know.
I plan to
cover.
read number 1. And here's the
Mhm.
thing, even if I don't like it, I'm going to be buying these for 2 reasons. The covers are badass, and she's my favorite character. I just hope they don't screw it up.
Yeah. We'll see. They probably will.
Have faith, young man.
All right. Next, we have JTC Doom cover. It's okay. I like this Doom cover. That's kind of interesting. Clayton Crane.
Is that a new character?
That's that
Like the dinosaur?
Doom dinosaur one.
Yeah.
That's
It's
pretty dope.
Doom Fever, man. Marvel Rivals just released their season 1 pass. Everything's Dr. Doom right now. It's all coming up Doom.
Yeah, I saw that new mode that they did. We'll talk about that. New Gods. There's more of the Doom stuff. One World Under Doom covers. All right. Some good covers there. The Frizen. All right. Now, these Poison Ivy covers are fantastic. This one's okay. The one she put out this last week was amazing. But this
one is really good.
Another Lobos cover. What up, Swag? Another Lobos cover. Look at that.
Yeah, I really like this one. I love the colors. I don't like the other. I like Jenny Friesen, but I don't like whoever colored that particular cover she did.
This one's
Like
awesome.
the other cover, it looked like it was flats.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Second Lobos cover of the week. That is amazing. Psylocke, Marguerite Sauvage. Look at this.
She's a nice woman. I got to meet her. She actually did a water painting of Niobe on one of my sketch covers.
That's amazing right there. That's a great cover. I'm telling you, there's covers this week are fantastic. Look at this. Holy shit, is that good?
That's badass. Yeah. Who did that one?
I'm not sure.
Funny there that's not listed the artist.
Yeah, look at that. The butterflies. That's so good.
Someone in the chat knows who did this. Please let me know.
Yeah, somebody will let us know. That's gorgeous. Red Hulk Cubert. This one's great too. That's a great cover, in my opinion.
I noticed you skipped over the Mark Brooks one. Is there a reason?
No. I haven't done it yet. I haven't got there yet.
No, it's right there. It's in the Psylocke.
Oh, this
Psylocke
one. I don't
4,
like
Mark
these.
Brooks.
I don't like the animated ones.
I
the
know.
Mark
That's
Brooks.
why I want you to bring it up. So I want to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't like these animated Mark Brooks ones. I thought
So
you were
Mark
talking
Brooks has
about
adopted a new style, and Marvel has jumped on board with the sort of animated. This isn't Mark Brooks. It is Mark Brooks, but it isn't Mark Brooks. Like when I go for a Mark Brooks cover, this is not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for Adventure Time. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's not. It's not good.
I just want to see if I can get a consensus from the panel or from the chat if you guys like that new art style of Mark Brooks.
I like Mark Brooks' art style, but I like the animated. I wish it was somebody else, though.
Roger that.
I think after he watched the Marvel animated stuff that came out recently, he really liked it, so he decided to do just those covers for himself. And Marvel was like, "Oh, he made all these covers. Why not use them?" Or like this pieces. But I don't think it was meant to be good comic books. I think he wants to do their animated stuff, kind of like Bruce Timm does for DC.
Sure, yeah.
It's kind of an interesting thing when an artist switches up their thing.
And I mean, that's a switch up. I mean, Mark Brooks is known for almost a Alex Ross sort of painterly style. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's as drastic as Frank Miller.
That's it, brother.
Oh, God. If you look at the Stephen Platt stuff that's now versus what he came out like when we grew up, totally different.
I think that this is the first Mark Spears cover that I've seen where I feel like it was a little rushed, probably.
It took me a second to actually see what it was that was beside Shazam.
Yeah.
Or make it out.
Yeah. It looks a little different than his normal style.
For that Psylocke cover, it was done by Muhammad Asmar. Am I pronouncing that right?
M. Asmar. Yep. That is right. Thank you to Mega.
Is this one of the first times? I just wonder, to your point, Brian, like, since he's so hot, he's probably getting asked to do so many covers now.
100% right.
100%. Big toll on some of his covers.
Yeah. Oh, Lisa says, shout out to Lisa Noble. She says, that's the cover he said he hated to do. They had him redo it.
Oh.
So it was rushed.
The original version.
It was 100% rushed then. Yeah.
I do like the pull with the skulls.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, you can definitely tell they rushed him on that. And he talked about that.
I wonder what he had to change.
Look, I'm just amazed that Snot Girl is still a thing.
Yeah. I bet you that's a great question. We'll have to ask him. I like Tomaselli. I think Tomaselli's a great cover artist. Andolfo. All right, this is the Brooks I thought you were talking about. This is awesome.
This is nice.
Is that still his different style?
No, this is his regular style.
It almost looks like a blend here because there really is no background and the figure's kind of small, right?
Yeah,
so it's kind of hard to tell.
Let me show you the original of the action, the higher. Watch. Here we go. Watch this.
Yeah, when you blow it up like that, for sure, right?
Right? Look how good that is. I just don't like the red background. Why did they go with red? They should have gone a different color.
It's probably just to make the white webbing and the logo pop a little bit more.
Yeah, but red doesn't really go with that logo.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a little hard on the eyes, to be honest with you.
That's the Brooks I thought you were talking about, but yeah, that animation shit sucks. Dungeons and Dragons, Stranger Things, Dungeons and Dragons, The Rise of Hellfire. That'll be interesting. A bunch of people getting him to sign that book. This almost looks like Brian Pulido. When I first saw it, I was like, is that Brian Pulido on there with that big metal t-shirt? Right? Look at that. That's Brian Pulido.
Kind of looks
right?
like a younger version of him, right?
Right?
Sell your soul, buy Lady Death today.
Paul Green. Oh,
Yeah,
told
here we
you
go.
guys.
I mean,
told
I've
ya.
worked with this man probably 3 or 4 times, and he's still doing stellar work. And of course, Ula Moss makes his work really come to life with her great coloring. They are team supreme.
Damn.
By the way, Brian, I think you skipped the Sozamaika cover. I think it was a Bad Girl cover. I think it's alphabetical here, right?
Yeah, I'll
it's
go back to it.
alphabetical. You skipped that cover, yeah.
I will have to order that Paul Green cover. I'm glad you showed that to me, Brian.
Yeah, that's badass. Let's see here. We are almost done. The covers this week are fantastic. We just got to go look at the variants. There's the Sway Magic. I don't
Oh, let me see
know.
that. Bring that up. Bring up my baby.
You know what? You don't want to see.
Hello, Magic. You're coming home with me.
That's a good
Number 11. I can't believe they're at 11 issues already. I got like the first 9, and I've only ever read the first 3 of Jed McKay's run, so I really got to get cracking on these.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. There's another Mark Brooks variant for the animated stuff. All right. Let's go one sec here. I'm going to go to look at the
Ash and Nate, I like your
Let's see.
style, by the way.
Final Order Cutoff.
They say they are getting everything magic. Well, you know, I have a saying on my Facebook. It's share the magic always.
All right, here we go. Is this 115? Yeah, here it is. All right. I just want to show some of the variants. This 1 in 50. It's pretty dope.
It's a really nice one.
Yeah, nice Batman. And then you have the did we already passed the Batman? Where's the Batman? So is the Micah.
Right there.
It's Bad Girl, not Batman.
Batgirl.
Maybe it's not a variant. Maybe it's just a open order.
Do I even see
Click
Batgirl?
variant. It's should be issue number 4. It should be on the first page and Billy's page.
Let's see here.
Alex says he loved the first issue of Magic. Well, that's good news. You make me feel a little bit better before
Right
I
there,
crack
Brian.
into this.
On top.
Oh, this one right here?
Yeah. No?
No, I'm not a fan of
Yeah.
that. Not a fan. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. That doesn't look like a finished cover to me.
Yeah, it looks like it's a little bit rushed too.
It looks like half of it's missing. All that white negative, all that white space,
Yeah.
it's not needed, you know.
Yeah. No, thanks.
Maybe she got sick when she was finishing this cover.
Yeah, yeah. That
No,
could
it's
be
just a
it.
trend I'm noticing in comics lately is like, you know, they're really not doing a whole lot of backgrounds in some of these covers. You look at that Poison Ivy cover, you look at that Mark Brooks cover, you look at that Spider-Gwen cover with all the red, you know. I don't know
Yeah.
why we're not doing backgrounds on our covers.
Because they
Dan?
need them to come out so much faster than they have time.
It's
for.
I think it's turnaround.
Dan
I mean,
Panosian.
even
the
this
same thing
cover
I
doesn't
think,
really
like-
have much of a background. All that really is a sky gradient and a Photoshop cloud kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep, time. I think that is about the Rose Bash Doom. It's okay. I like the crows. Cape's a little weird, but it is what it is. And Why do I keep going back to that? I gotta check that out. I like that character, that Thunder character. There's the magic stuff, the 1 in 100. I hate that they keep doing this 1 in 100 virgin bullshit, and it's so dumb. It is such a waste. And DC's copying it. You need to quit that. That's a total cash grab.
The hack and slash Team Sealy cover is really nice too.
Oh, I can tell you about 10 ways you can cash grab just one image, Brian.
I know, right? Look at this. That's pretty crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Huh. That's very interesting. And what makes it very interesting is, wait, where's the Jay Stevens Cruel Kingdom? Oh, it's not there yet. That's what it is. That is what I was looking for. All right. And the reason why it's so interesting is it's going to be one of our topics, I imagine, for us to get into for this year-end wrap-up. We got Swag with us, and Swag, we have to talk about Marvel Rivals, man. This game is on fire right now. Yeah.
There it is.
It is.
I actually have that same issue. The Rivals covers, and they are on fire. And I don't even look at it through the sense of, oh, they're going up in value. So if I have one for $5, I can sell it for 30 on eBay. That's not how I see this at all. I mean, that might be a benefit to flippers, but I see it as more of a benefit to the comic book industry. That 14-year-old whose favorite character is Magic and Marvel Rivals is going to go after that cover. They're going to see that. And they may not even look at it as like comic book collecting. They may look at it as that's just merch from the game, but I want it. And that is going to be their introductory into a much larger world. That's how I see this.
Yeah, this game is crazy, you guys. I've been watching gameplay of this game. When I'm sitting at home during the day, just putting stuff on eBay and stuff, I have gameplay on just playing. I'll watch like Nade Shot or Tim the Tatman or somebody, and they're all playing the game right now, which is crazy to me. And every single one of them is talking about how it could be one of the greatest games ever made.
Well, it's definitely an Overwatch killer. And Overwatch has been around for 8 years plus, and it's still a live service game. So Marvel Rivals has a 60, 70-year back catalog of environments, of situations, of villains, of heroes, of different costumes that they can go to the well literally with this forever. Just last night, they released the Fantastic Four. Susan Storm, Reed Richards. I got to play Susan Storm. She kicks a lot of ass, by the way.
Yeah. Well, Swag, you talked about that just the other day, that new Malice skin everybody's going crazy for. And, we're going to have to keep an eye on those first 2 books, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, and that's kind of what, Larry, you were getting at, where it's like, I mean, and on the one hand, it is, FOMO or whatever, or spec people, but at the same time, it's like, it's not like that was on the Stein list last night, like that Fantastic Four book. Like, it's just, and it's not like it's selling for $50 all of a sudden. It's just like, yeah, here's this book that all of a sudden people were like, hey, that'd be cool to get it, and overall it's a net positive.
Well, I got to thank you, Swag, because when you did that video the other day and you were showing the Malice skin, I didn't know what issue that was from. I didn't look. Now I know. I got to go after, was it Fantastic Four 280 and 281? Those are the books I want.
Yeah, those are the 2 that kind of like
I'm going for it. And I don't even read Fantastic Four, but I love this game so much that it makes me want to have those books.
Right.
Yep.
So where's the game? Just kind of curious. Is this like something that's on?
So the game is free to play, and you can play it on any
Or
system. You can play it on Xbox, Series X and S. You can play it on the PlayStation 5, or if your PC can handle it, you can download it from Steam for free.
Yeah. And the difference to me of like why I felt like this game was so different, because a lot of people, when I first made my first video about it, people were like, well, I don't understand. There's like Marvel has had video games before. And I was like, yeah, but there's never been like a PvP social team-based game that is going to be like, super in depth within the Twitch streamer community that has kind of this, the social component, like whatever it was, like the Avengers game that came out, or when we were younger and it had, some of
Oh,
those.
you're
Like,
limiting yourself, man. They done Marvel Midnight Suns. They done Marvel Alliance. They done Marvel versus Capcom. The list goes on. There's been plenty of superhero. Hell, they did Spider-Man 1 and 2. Wolverine, the game is coming out. But you're right. This is a live service game, and that's what makes all the difference in the world.
This is more akin to like Fortnite, Counter-Strike, League of Legends, World of Warcraft, these games that are like monsters, that they're cultural monsters.
And
you know?
it's very strategy based in that fact too, man. Like watching them, when you're watching these live play-ins and they're communicating with each other, and you're catching like how gameplay works and how you have to, team up and do certain things and take out certain players, or certain characters first, and you have to be constantly aware of who your teammates are choosing and who your enemies are choosing. You can choose different players throughout the game. Every time you die, I think you could choose a different player, right?
Out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is crazy. I mean,
and that's where it's like, just wait. It'll happen at some point, but wait, at some point there's going to be an esport for this. There's going to be some like,
there already is an esport for it. They already have leagues.
Well, like,
the Marvel Rivals runs their own official tournaments, and there's already teams being formed up as we speak.
Right, but when that becomes like on the level of like League of Legends or Counter-Strike or stuff like that, and you have,
I think it's already getting there.
I don't think the game's been out long enough for it to be there yet. They have to figure out how to strategy, because you're watching people like Nade Shot just lose time after time after time. And so I don't think people have figured out the gameplay components yet to have it be as big as what you're saying, Swag. So I agree.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at too is like the cultural aspect. It's like I don't know how many gamers are on the chat, but like I'm going to say something that's really in the weeds. But if you guys know what like Daigo versus Justin Wong, like the Street Fighter 2 thing, like these internet like clips that are like the most legendary, Street Fighter 2 thing, whatever, and it lives on forever within like the meme ecosystem, video game culture. Like there's going to be a world where they do a tournament and someone's playing whatever Punisher, and the guy like 1v5s and it wins the championship. And it's like, oh my God. And it becomes the legendary Brian McClay Punisher play, and forever it lives on. And that's going to be the thing that makes ASM 129 sell.
Well, to be fair, Punisher is fucking OP in this game. He's gross.
Yeah. You know who else is
Anyone
OP
can
is
1v5 with Punisher in this game. He's that good.
I heard they nerf what's his name, Jeff.
They nerfed a lot of
gone
characters.
through a slight modification. A few of them have gone through slight modifications. I'm just glad they didn't really touch my girl Magic too much.
Not yet.
I think it's good that they're already releasing new characters too, which is great, and they're doing these like. The only thing that I can kind of really compare it to is WoW, because that's the only game that I've really played that's in that world kind of.
So WoW is more of an MMO RPG.
Yeah.
This is a 6-person shooter. This is more comparable to Overwatch.
Yeah. But what I'm talking about is like
I know in scope and size, and I'm still saying Overwatch.
I think it's part of strategy wise.
No, like how when WoW will release their little advertisements, or they'll release in-game cinematics, and whenever there's a new expansion coming, there's all these badass cinematics. You can tell that they're doing cool cinematics for Marvel Rivals. I saw the cinematic thing for when they release these new characters, and I think that's cool too to see.
That's all out of the Overwatch gameplay book. I mean, you bring up WoW, but Overwatch is also a Blizzard game, so it all ties in together.
Yeah, this game is unreal, and then the stats on it are crazy. I heard some guy talking today about like the actual, and when I say stats, I mean like the how long people are staying on, the turnover, they're just destroying everything stat wise.
So the last statistic I saw was today, because I actually cover a lot of Marvel Rival news. In fact, I got a list of all the characters that are coming up in the game if you want to hear them. But the statistic I saw today was over 700,000 people on Steam alone was playing today. Here's the thing. That's just Steam. That doesn't count the consoles. Okay, that doesn't count me playing on my PlayStation 5 or someone else playing on their Series X. So you probably want to double or triple that number.
Yeah.
So here's all the characters coming up that were data mined from Marvel Rivals, okay? First character on the list that you guys should be specking on, she's going to show up, is Angela. That's right. Angela is coming to the game. Spawn number 9s. I would go get them now. You got Blade. He's coming to the game. Captain Marvel, of course, is coming to the game. Colossus and Cyclops are coming to the game. Deadpool is coming to the game. Emma Frost is coming to the game. Here's one that people aren't expecting. Hitmonkey is coming to the game. Okay. So get your Hitmonkey, swag on. Jaya Jing, whoever that is coming to the game. Jean Grey is coming to the game. Locust, Maldoc. This one I never heard of. Tell me who the hell Paste Pot Pete is, because whoever Paste Pot Pete is, he's coming to the game. Professor X, The Hood, Ultron, and Valkyrie. This was all updated as of January the 11th of yesterday.
That's a nice roster.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's very
Definitely a few characters.
Yeah, I'm
I
looking
didn't
at
even
the
hear
list
about.
right now. Now, give or take, sometimes these leaks may not always be accurate, but this is coming from Marvel Rival News, and they haven't been wrong yet.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's very interesting, that's for sure. So I think that we'll continue to see that game really just blow up. Swag, I want to ask you, I want to start with you. What was, let's talk about some of your favorite moments throughout the year. Overall, it doesn't have to be necessarily comics, but if it's a comic thing, great. What was your favorite moment of 2025? Do you have one that you really just fell in love with and that you think of whenever I ask that question?
Of last year, for sure.
Yeah, 2024.
Well, when I think back, I think it's always just the cons. Going to the cons are like my favorite moments, right? Like San Diego, C2E2, New York. It's just the community aspect. I know it can be a little bit like, dare I say the word cringe to say like, oh, the comic fam and things like that, the community. But honestly, it's so important. It's what it's all about. We all love this stuff and we all like get to connect with each other through this medium. And that's what makes it so fun. So that's what I really have the most fondness about. Like even with all of the stuff that I covered last year, which is varied in the topics, but a lot of it, of course, is like the CGC stuff and Reholder Gate and Ben Gate and all these things. So in a lot of ways, 2024 was a lot of there's like a lot of issues that came up. But when I look back of like the most fun stuff, it's still really just hanging out with everybody, going to the shows, and then the new comics, the titles are getting good. Again, which I feel like
do you feel this year the cons are going to be even better than last year?
I do. I think. I think culturally we're like in a different place. I'll put it like that this year, and I think that people are. I think it's been long enough now from the COVID times. One of my predictions for this coming year was like, I think con attendance will actually hit pre-COVID levels this year. That would be my guess, which I think it hasn't. So,
yeah, I think that San Diego is going to be full on craziness this year. I imagine again.
I was going to say, if it hasn't hit that, back to the same numbers, God. Isn't San Diego and New York already a fucking mess just with all the people already?
Yeah.
Do we need more?
How many people are going to be walking around in Rivals costumes this year?
Yeah. A lot.
That'll be a good temp check to see,
Yeah. Yeah. What's up, Blind Adam?
Not much. I heard cosplay, so my ears must have been burning.
Yeah.
Cannot wait for the cosplay. I hope it starts in 2 weeks for me at AVNs.
I think for me, I think you hit it on the head with the con thing. I think that was probably my favorite moment of the year was San Diego this year. It was such a great event. It was great to see a lot of good friends, and it was just a lot of fun this year. It was really good. I think that also had to do with like who I was staying with. Anytime I'm with Big Leg, I have a good time, and no matter what, if you're hanging out with Big Leg at a con, he's gonna put like an event worthy like group of people together and where you're going and what you're doing. Like Leg's really good at that, and we had a place that was just so perfect. It was right in the middle of everything, and it was just perfect. And there's nothing better than people watching at San Diego Comic-Con. It's just sitting on that main drag where everybody walk up and down. You know, we would get home at like 3 a.m. and we would just sit outside, or 2 a.m. and we'd just sit outside on a stoop because it was literally right on that street, and just people watch. And that to me was the best. It was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do that again. But I would love to get somewhere on the East Coast next year. And
So you coming to New York?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It all depends. You know, you never know. But it's funny. I'll go to cons outside of my state, but I won't go to my con inside my state. It's funny how that plays out. But yeah, I think the cons are going to be a lot of fun next year, and I agree with you. I think that the new storylines and new books and everything are getting really good. I know we've all been reading more. Nate, you've been doing a lot of reading this year. Is there anything that you really fell in love with reading wise, that it was your favorite book?
You know, I think the obvious part would be the Energon universe with the short stories with Cobra Commander, Destro, and those guys. But the one I didn't expect was Rook. Rook is so good. I think that's the best title I've read in quite some time. It's really good. If someone asks, if they ask me like, what's the one thing they should pick up, that would be the title I'd give them.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. It's up there. It's on our list. And for those of you guys that don't know what I'm talking about, there is a list for best series of the year that we have a nice little poll tab up for. If you guys want to go vote on it, I'll drop the link in the live chat. But as of right now, Ultimate Spider-Man surprisingly is winning that. So,
you know, I read the Christmas issue. I'm sorry, so I got like number 12. I just got a chance to read it like last week. I mean, that series has been really good, but even like issue 12, when you get into Christmas, it like the way it tries to tell you about, like, you know, keep the people around you close and appreciate the people that you're with. And then the way it ends with, this is exactly what you think it is. You know, they've done a great job with Ultimate Spider-Man. I wish Ultimate X-Men was as good as Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Is Doom one shot not on the list because it's just one issue?
Yeah, the Doom one shot's on the best new series just because it was one issue. But I mean, that Doom one shot was probably the best storyline of the year, in my opinion.
Let me tell you, Green Lantern being at the top or the bottom. If Green Lantern hadn't gotten involved in the absolute, or not the absolute storyline, but the
All In?
I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry?
The All In, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, there was something where there were a couple issues where it really detracted from the Green Lantern run. It is that is probably the best DC series I've read in a while.
The Absolute Power
And the
stuff,
art's
probably.
incredible. Yeah, the Absolute Power. Yeah,
Absolute Power.
That's it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Swag.
I gotta say, I think that it's really cool that you're doing this, and that I heard you on the other show where you're saying like, oh, you know, you really want to be detail oriented this coming year, so that at the end of the year you can really, you know, have everything remembered and in terms of the covers and stuff. Because I think like this is a cool little you know, the people's thing, the people's vote. Like I don't know, like I bet whoever artist wins, you know, the best cover would like to hear that, you know, of the hardest core people who like to collect covers who watch this show, they voted for you as you had the best cover. Like, I mean, week after week, everyone here, we all just stare at, you know, Final Order Cutoff covers, you stare at the Stein list covers, everyone in the chat does, and it's like yours rose to the top. Like, that's a kind of a cool honor, you know. I know it's not the Eisner Awards, but you know, it's different.
It's fun, man. It's nice to you know, get everybody involved, and it would be you know, I'm trying to figure out cool ways to do it, but you know, the 64 team bracket type, you know, face off doesn't lend itself well with like true cover of the year outcomes. But you just kind of have to have everybody vote on all of them, or I don't know. Probably that's the best way to do it. But the 64 team bracket, just randomizing it is, you're going to have some major covers get knocked off when they probably should be at the end of the bracket. So
I kind of like it though, gun to the head, make a choice, you have to pick. Like it kind of really forces, people.
Yeah. And by the way, you guys, you can go vote on cover artist of the year, publisher of the year, new series of the year, and series of the year in the community tab or in the links in the description in the video. But we're going to announce those winners at the sometime in the part of the show tonight. So
hey Brian, I think Iman in the chat got the message incorrect. He thinks the best part of the year was the Dodgers winning the World Series.
No,
that's actually the worst thing of the
No.
fucking year. So
I need to say that.
yeah. All right. I think that
I'm boomering. No wonder no one can hear me.
Yeah, were you on mute?
I was on mute, man. I was going to answer the best part of the year question.
Let's hear it.
Twofold. I mean, one, we had Niobe Outbreak out in
Yes,
store
you
shelves
did.
in 2024. Okay, that was a great moment. The second great moment, you guys talked about conventions. I was sort of alienated for conventions for 5 years because I voiced an opinion that was not good enough for these people. After 5 years of stupidity, I have been welcomed back with open arms, and I was able to do my first round of shows at the end of the year. You know what I mean? Towards the end of convention season, but I was able to get back in and start doing my thing. And then the other cool thing that happened, I have a bunch of these around, is that we finally got our Savage Sin 2 books in, and we're mailing out to the backers. And these are our beautiful Greg Bo Watson covers. So that was the nice way to sort of end. Got them backwards. 2024, is to have these covers. And I got a huge stock that still needs bags and boards from our other variant that we've done. I got a bunch of these left to do. So it's been a good, I think for me, the year started off rocky, but it ended so well, like.
I think for a lot of people, that's kind of how the year was. I think it kind of, well, not for a lot of people. I mean, we see kind of what's going on in California. By the way, Swag, how are you with all that? Are you in an area that you have to worry?
I'm in an okay. I'm okay, but like definitely a lot of people I know, sadly, had some with their houses burned, some like friends of friends were affected. On GoFundMe's and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's been absolutely beyond crazy, and it's just really, really weird. And every time one of these things happens, it always kind of makes you sometimes it makes you proud. You see communities kind of getting together and fixing stuff, but then when you start hearing things like it might have been arson and all this stuff, just makes you like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
I'll never understand that. Why people just can't, just like, maybe it's cannabis and it's helped me feel this way for a long time. Just chill, man. Leave everybody alone. Do your thing. Don't hurt anybody else. And life is good. But damn, man, people just want.
I will tell you, I don't know if you guys have ever been in a fire, but I lived through actually, sadly, 2. But the first one was I was actually in an apartment at the top floor, and I've never seen when people say like about fire or smoke inhalation. It is smoke inhalation. Like it goes from like this to pitch black in literally 2-3 minutes, and there is nothing like it. Like it's absolutely incredible.
Wow.
I mean, what's going on in California? I like Clutch showing the stuff on Instagram, like on his wife's windshield, like all the debris that's falling, and they're so far from the wind. But like JJ, I don't know if you guys saw the speech by JJ Redick at practice. He was just talking about how they had moved. His wife really didn't want to move from Jersey, but they found like the rec center they really liked, and they're in the Palisades. And he talked for 7 minutes, just kept talking, and he had the hardest time getting through it, just talking about like just the stuff that like for a guy who's been in the NBA and went to Duke and probably has more money in the world, this in one of his son's photos that he made in charcoal at school the other day. Like he had that at the top of his house. He's like, I'll never get that back. And then the rec center, that one of the kids that was a neighbor, Milo, that he grew up with, like just all these little things. Like,
so his house burned down.
Yeah. It's just, it's unbelievable. It's awful.
Yeah. It's crazy. But I think for the most part, the last year kind of started off pretty shitty for a lot of people and seemed to get a little bit better throughout the year, but especially in the comic world. Speaking of craziness and the monsters, Mark Spear's Monsters craziness happened towards the end of the year, which was a lot of fun to talk about. But the biggest thing I think in the comic book world was, there's a couple things. One, the grading, the outlook on grading. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Because I definitely have seen people be like, I'm going to grade everything I can, to now most people don't want to grade something unless they're going to sell it for the most part. I hear a lot of people, talking about, they're only going to collect raw. As a matter of fact, that's something that I'm definitely starting to think about, for my PC, maybe just doing raw books from now on. And Swag, you were a big part of that with the whole CGC craziness that you've been reporting on throughout the year. What is your thoughts on grading going into 2025?
Yeah, well, to talk about what you kind of set it up there with, in short, I think I'll say that at least it's the vocal minority it seems to have like a very anti-grading stance right now. Like if I make a CGC video, like definitely the most upvoted comments will be like, CGC is the scam, right? Like that 100% guaranteed that'll be true. Now, is that how everyone feels, or is that just like the comment that gets upvoted? I don't know. You guys can decide. But there does seem to be like sort of that anti-grading culture. But then like, you go outside or you go to New York Comic Con and you look at the CGC booth and there's like lines like to the back of the room. So I don't know how much people are really against it. And we don't really have like the numbers to know if what the sales are compared to in prior years. But I think it seems true that they're definitely getting less submissions. That seems like kind of clear, and the values have gone down, and it makes less sense to grade certain books if your goal is to sell it, because the margins are not what they used to be, say two or 3 years ago. So I think it's probably a net positive overall, because I think there was probably just too many people with a focus on grading for like the last 2 years, and people were sending in books that like don't really need to be sent in to be graded. And grading should just be that thing that's like you have like a really, really high grade, whatever, Silver Age key book or whatever. And you need to like be able to show that on an eBay listing. So like a grading company sort of helps two people feel confident in buying it.
Hey, Swag, do you collect cards at all? Like baseball, basketball?
So I collect Magic the Gathering cards.
Okay, because it feels like there's a little bit of that, like with the junk, almost like everyone graded every basketball, every like the base cards when it came to sports cards. Kind of like same thing with like High Republic when #1 came out. Like everyone's grading like all the number. It's junk grading almost, like a little bit of like that kind of stuff. Like it's only it really should be for like stuff that's really a different tier. A higher level.
Yeah, but who's going to decide that, right? Like, who's to say here's the books you should grade and here's the books you shouldn't grade? Who's responsible for making this master list, if you will? Because I have a completely different take on this.
Well, I mean, if they're like 750 million base Luka Doncic rookies, I probably don't need to get.
Well, first of all, I think the card bubble is going to burst. I think investing in cards is a waste of time.
But same thing with like the Star Wars High Republic one. Like if there are 10 million of them, like do I really need a 9.8?
As far as grading goes, the reason why people grade it less is because people had less money. It wasn't because they didn't want to grade; it's because grading was expensive. You talk about the COVID era, and you talk about what followed afterwards, right? The reason why books dropped in price was because no one could afford to buy them, so sellers had to sell them for cheaper. Now the economy is going to turn around. You see in 2025, and I think that what you're going to see now is a new uptick. Not only that, you got PSA now into the grading service, and you talk about cards. I've talked to people at shows. The last show I was at, a guy came up to me, says, "I'm getting into comics." I said, "Oh, really? Why?" He says, "Well, because I collect and grade cards. Now PSA is going to be grading comics, so now I'm going to get into that hobby." It's going to explode. It's not going to go away.
The problem is that
volume.
PSA is, if they're going to get this crazy rush of stuff grading for them, as they're starting a new company, they have to be on the fucking ball out the gate.
But they're not a new company. They're already established by grading cards, right? So yes, comics is a new avenue for them, but they've been established for a long, long time. In fact, more people probably nowadays, because cards are so popular, know what PSA is over CGC.
So yeah, hey Larry, when's the last time
their division
for cards to get graded?
What's that?
When's the last time you sent like cards to get graded?
I never see. I don't. Like I said, I think collecting cards is a waste of time.
So I guess that's my point, is that if you used to send stuff to PSA, kind of like CGC, the turnaround time was 9 months or so. But now, because the volume's gone down so much, you get it so much quicker. Now at PSA, both SGC, you can get stuff back in 2 weeks. So the volumes come back so much because like people are realizing like, I don't need to get everything graded.
No, the volume's going to go back up because people are going to start to have more money to afford to start grading books again.
Oh, that's, all hopes and wishes, possible, I guess, at this point. Yeah.
It's sort of a chicken and egg thing, though, because it's like if the price of things go up because of demand, then there will be more people grading and vice versa. Like, so who
do you buy the $25 variant or do you buy eggs? But when eggs become cheaper again, all of a sudden now you have that exposable income to go ahead and buy that $25 variant.
That's assuming I want to eat eggs.
Yeah, as an example, groceries, gas, whatever expense that real life requires of you outside of your entertainment budget.
Right. Yeah. Right. But like again,
if hookers count as a necessity?
No.
The only books I grade right now are when I get stuff signed by celebrities.
Why are people actually going to have more money? Because the economy is going to improve in both Canada and the US. You've gotten rid of both governments at this point that have trashed your economy to the point that it's been ruined, to the point that like you can work 3 full-time jobs and still can't afford your rent. I believe all that is on the cusp of changing.
I think we all hope that it's going to get there for sure. But here's something that's very interesting is that you got a lot of people right now who have switched. They came in as those graders during the pandemic. They grade, new to the hobby. Like Sticky Goose says, everybody's telling us I need to get these graded and get these graded, and they all graded all their books and they graded everything. And now over the past 6 months, they've started to sour on it and they started just collecting raw books and they need to grade everything. And even with a good economy, you have those people who don't care about grading anymore. So,
well, you know what I'm interested in too is like what slice of the pie is CGC's business those people versus like the big time collectibles and like all the retailers who do like the pre-screen grading stuff, and also like a Red Hood Comics who like literally has like millions of dollars of inventory that he's just grading constantly. Like I wonder if like do the people who like a me who maybe sends one submission a year, if that, like
exactly,
like if you add all those people together, like how much do they make compared to like one retailer? And I'd be interested to hear from those people. Like
actually, the one that you just point out, like about if someone's doing too, like the variants and they're getting the CGC, like the 9/8. But if the variants aren't selling anymore, so I'm going to cut back on how many I'm going to do. So there's going to be less volume that's going to go to CGC.
Right.
Like there's where your volume starts cutting up. And when you start going across like PTC and all these other guys like, hey, I'm not going to do variants anymore. So things just naturally just kind of funnel this way.
Yeah, it was kind of like
ticks down.
I feel like we didn't hear a lot about. It's funny. I was thinking about the cons, and this is probably not true, but I feel like last year or the end of the year wasn't as big of like a retail exclusive thing. Like it felt like it was down. Like we know Bird City and stuff, but even for them, like I felt like they are more choosy with the ones that they do now. They're doing the Mark Spear stuff, but they weren't. It wasn't as much volume. And to Nate, your point, I wonder if it's just sort of that, where they clearly saw like less demand and they had to like submit less or even make less retail variants. Yeah. I'm curious if that'll change.
Yeah, because even if they do submit them, like, hey, we saw like the 60 price point's not going to tick. We've got to move it down to 50 just to kind of move the volume. So
yeah,
should we send as much? So
let's talk about that too, because let's talk about the retailer exclusive variant. I think that's also been something that's soured on not only collectors but retailers over the last year. And what I mean by that is exactly what you're saying. There's no doubt in my mind that most retailers who were doing retailer exclusives on a mass level have either stopped almost altogether or have really cut their amount they've been doing, pretty significantly. And I know that because we talk to them on a regular basis, and they talk about, it's just not smart to do it anymore. And, you've got these problems where most of these guys are doing groups of this, and you've got to wait for somebody else to if somebody else goes in front of you, it just totally kills the buzz, and you're stuck with all these books, and people aren't buying retailer exclusives like they used to, especially on live streams. And it's very interesting that has really dropped. I don't think I see that coming back either, even with a good economy.
I don't know. Have you seen the Unknown? How many exclusive there are every con?
And
it
I also
growing and growing.
And I also see that they're offering pallets of their stuff for 20 cents. Yeah, 20 cents on the dollar. So I don't care. Yeah,
I took a serious look at the pallet thing. I was considering it for a minute, and then I just looked and I did the math and everything. I was like, nah, not worth it. I really think the exclusive game is, quantity over quality, like 50% of the time. For every Lucky Devils Chris Wasner, you get a bunch of like 900 Clayton Crane, Virgin BJ, whatever the fuck type books.
Yeah.
It's also one of those things too, right? Because if we all wanted to go into and get a variant together, if we know things kind of slow down and we're going to split it up, we also kind of have to hold the price for each other too for a certain amount of time. So we can't actually lower it. So for a couple of months, even though Swag's probably sitting on maybe a little bit more than we've got, hey, you can't lower the price because we don't want to lower the price for our exclusive yet. I guess that there's a little bit of price, that pricing game.
Some price fixing going on, so. Yeah. But it's funny because at the con, if you're a retailer, you have to have a product, right? At the con, especially a new product. So you have to create a retail exclusive, no matter what, New York, San Diego, whatever other, big show. So you have to have it. But I felt like I saw retailers doing more partnerships where we'd have it's the Nate exclusive and it's the Swag exclusive, but we have the same book. And really, we just went in on it, but we just sold it to our own audience.
We both have our own logos on the back, and you take yours.
Yeah, that's just cost-saving measures. So
yeah,
but it causes problems in the collectible world because you can't. What's the best way to say this? If it's your retailer book and your brand is on that, and then the person that you went in on it with starts selling your book that you guys agreed to sell for $40 a piece for $5, he just devalued your brand, and you let him because he was in on it with you. You can't blame anybody but yourself at that point.
That's the problem, though, with manufactured rarity, right? The reason why comic books are worth money, the older ones, the reason why people say collect Golden Age and Silver Age, it's because they're harder to find. They're a little bit more rare than what's being put out tomorrow, okay? But eventually, tomorrow's books is going to be someone else's Golden Age books 50, 60, 70 years from now, but when you manufacture rarity, let's say I say this Paul Green cover is going to be 1 out of 50, or only 50 of these are going to exist. How do you know that? Because I've seen DC make the same claim with a Michael Turner Harley Quinn cover and then print more than what they said they were going to do because it's sold. Right?
Yep.
So there's no trust factor in this sort of scenario that you're bringing up,
Yep. You're 100% correct.
Well, it's interesting because, like, if I really think about it, I feel like the everything it's constantly in movement and the market changes and stuff. And what Derek said in the chat was retailer exclusives skip the cons now and go straight to whatnot. And it just dawned on me that it was like, oh, this is what happened. It was like whatnot had their titles like Ninja Funk, and then every whatnot seller or retailer had their own variant exclusive for it, and that was just too much. Like there's just too many, exclusives that they all can't compete with each other. But now it's like, oh, whatnot does a whatnot pack, for instance, and now it's just like this is just a whatnot product, and you guys and everyone can just sell the same product, and that seemed to work better. So it's funny how just like the model switches, and I think having your own brand with your own exclusive is just too hard for 200 retailers to sustain that.
You really do need that exclusive that is just for the con and just really kind of shrink the number so it makes it something that people actually go out for. Like I think I always think about Clutch's stuff at NYCC 2 years ago in the fall with the Transformer stuff, like just something along those lines where you literally, if you're not there, you cannot get it. You can't go to online, because that feels like maybe the COVID thing is what kind of changed that, because you had to change up the world because people couldn't be there, so you've got to have that option. But I feel like maybe going back to that and maybe limiting that universe, like make it desirable. Like, if you're not there, you cannot get it, like unless you know someone who was there.
The thing I did not like with con exclusives in the last 2 years, if I can buy it online before or after the con, is it really exclusive to the motherfucking con?
Yeah.
What do you care?
Yeah, it's a great point, Adam.
You brought up the whatnot packs, and I definitely want to talk about that because that was obviously one of the keys of the year that I think is going to happen more in 2025. I brought this up on the industry show, and I got into an argument with Dennis over it. Dennis calling me a shill for whatnot and all this stuff. And
whoa! You got an argument with Dennis? I can't.
Dirty shill.
Yeah, and the funny thing about it is the first thing that people say to me is, oh, those things aren't worth any money, they ain't worth anything. And then I see Longshort put up a recent sale of a book, it's like $1,200 for this red variant. They're still selling for the amounts pretty close to what they were selling out the gate. So people can't cry about those books, which is very surprising to me. And obviously I went and looked, and you can see where the unopened box is $500. I mean, regular silver.
Brian, this is where it could really kind of get into that card world with breaking and color matches and numbering. Like if you really want to expand things, I don't know if that's for the best, but like if you really want to do it, that's probably the way it's going.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. Like people are talking about how, all that, how.
Whoa, who let that one go?
Every time I hear that, I think of a leg.
It was a super chat.
Yeah, shout out to King of the Golden State. Yeah, it's a super chat. Super chat. Shout out to King of the Golden State. He says, "Hi, fellas. Dumb question, maybe. What exclusive stood the test of time, at least so far?" That's a great question. We'll get into in a second. But to see what these prices still go for, and that they're holding some of their value. I forget when these came out. It's probably been at least 6 months to a year. Yeah, on a lot of these, is very interesting. And again, it makes me go back to that point of saying, okay, now that we're seeing that the value is still there and that the people are still into them, we're going to start seeing these things in other collectible stores, whether it's, you might walk into a Lids and there's a pack of comics on the shelf, or you're going to walk into, you know, and they'll figure out ways to do
Dollar Tree, and DC has them for $1.25.
But I'm not talking about just any comic. I'm talking about these ones are they're trying to key in to the card collector, right? They're trying
to key into the gambling aspect.
Yes.
You buy this mystery pack and see what you get inside. You're not actually buying rarity.
Yes.
What you're buying is dopamine hits.
You're 100% right.
100%.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I think, you know, one thing I've been thinking about, and it's hard to talk about this because I don't think people are there yet. But so when I did the Marvel Rivals video, one of the comments, I see the comments, and like a lot of the feedback I see is still sort of like some of the sentiment that's like, oh, a fool and their money are soon parted, or like, oh, he FOMO again, here we go, or like a little bit of that. And I sort of feel like we all got to get to a certain point where, yes, there's FOMO. Yes, there's people who like are buying stuff off of hype and trailers, but there can also be room for like, hey, they're just making a product, and a product can just be popular.
Yeah.
And maybe it's still FOMO, but like not everything is bad. And I think that the comic world needs to be more okay with that. And so like, I think what you were saying on the industry show was you were like, yes, it's still kind of like tapping into the gambling mindset and pack ripping and all this. And there is a dark side to it. But the other side of it is, hey, maybe it's just fun to buy a pack and you get some cool comic books in theory out of it that you can read. You know, I don't know. It just depends on your outlook.
Well, they stopped loot boxes in video games for that reason, right? Kids were like buying Overwatch loot boxes to try and unlock the rare skins, spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for the rarity and the dopamine hit of opening these boxes and trying to find the one thing that you're looking for. Now outlawed in virtually almost all video games, which is why video games have now switched to season passes instead of loot boxes. What you guys are talking about to me is just physical loot boxes in the real world.
Yeah, but we're not kids. We're
Magic
adults
the Gathering a loot box?
Yeah, we're adults that can spend our money.
You don't know what you're buying when you get that pack, right? I played Magic the Gathering for almost 20 years, swag, you know?
No, I understand, but then I guess Wizards of the Coast is in trouble, right? Like, because eventually they'll
Wizards of the Coast also does Dungeons and Dragons. You buy a book, you know what you're getting inside, you know? They also sell decks of cards that like, hey, here's your commander deck, and here's the list of all the cards inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
again,
I think it's I guess if it's advertised, like here is the set list, you have a chance to get. You still, in theory, know the set list. So the same thing with like, here are the comics that are going to be included. And I'm not trying to say that this is like a perfect thing and that Whatnot is not going to abuse this and people aren't going to lose their mind and overspend. Like it's going to happen, but
well, that's the other thing. The other thing is that, listen, we can't always associate this with Whatnot. This is Whatnot, you know, opened our eyes to this, but there's going to be other companies that are going to be putting out these types of packs, these high quality comic book packs. True. You're going to start seeing, you're going to start seeing publishers put these out. You're going to start seeing, you know, companies put these out. We're going to see a ton of these at the cons again, and they're going to be not just mystery boxes like, you know, we see on a lot of cheesy Whatnot shows where you're just getting overstock that they can't sell. We're talking about high quality books, you know, that you can only get in these packs. And if you get lucky, hey, there might be a Amazing Spider-Man 300 in there, you know, or you know,
do you
an
think
Invincible
that
one.
strategy would work for someone like me? Like, let's say I go on my Kickstarter, right, and I want to try and drum up some extra money. If I go, hey, here's a new tier, it's $40, and in this you're going to get 4 Niobe variants, random variants from our entire catalog. Do you think that sells, or do you think that is gambling?
I think that sells. I think that
I think it sells on Kickstarter.
Yeah,
that's actually a good idea.
So you really don't know what you're getting though. Yeah. That doesn't concern you.
Well, you know that you have a chance to get one of these. You make it a special tier, right? You say,
I'm fan enough. I'm in the Kickstarter that I'm a big enough fan that, hey, I've already backed this tier and this tier. Shit, I'll throw another $50 in and just kind of see what I get.
Well, shit, then I'm gonna do that. Well, I'm gonna put this theory to the test, gentlemen.
Yeah,
but what you need to do also make those, whatever you put in there is not random Niobe comics. It's only to the pack Niobe comics because it's the only place to get them. You cannot get them
Well,
separately outside
but I
of the
mean
pack.
that's every Niobe comic outside of the ones we put out through Antarctic Press. They're all Kickstarter exclusive variants. So
No,
literally,
no,
I
I-
can take my pick of the litter.
Well, but I'm saying if you have like all these covers, they can buy them separately, or they can get a random one in the pack, and they can get a like one of the more expensive one.
It's not going to work.
That's not as desirable as only if the ones you put in the pack is the only come in the pack, and they're not.
Yeah, but then I
available
have to pay
individually.
extra artists to make extra variants
You
just
got
for
it.
those packs.
You got
Yes,
it.
We're not going
yes,
to do
but
that.
I think they'll
Well,
sell
then it
a
won't
lot
work.
better and a lot more.
Yeah.
Yes.
It won't work.
I can
Yeah, we're not going to do
50
that. That's too
customers
expensive for our blood.
Yeah.
We're just going to use what I got in the 4 long boxes behind me, and you can get a chance to win one of those randomly. That way I can get rid of my extra stock.
Yeah, that's not
So
going to work.
Swag, how long do you think till all the whatnot sellers and eBay sales start making their own packs? And I mean, not their own packs, but like going to Marvel, DC, and getting like 4 or 5 covers between like 3 or 4 other online sellers and making their own packs to
Top
to
Shelf
sell their
Comics
stuff like
already
that.
did it.
Yeah, well, yes. But
There's
how
this
long till
company
everybody
that
else starts doing it?
it's a good question. I feel like if there's a company, what's their name? I see them at every show. Like it's starts with a H, High Pack something. I can't remember. I forgot. There's a company that does this. They're like these really nice looking mystery boxes that sell comic books.
Right,
but I don't know if they've caught on that much. And so to answer your question, Igor, it's like if it gets hot and it becomes something popular, then I would imagine every whatnot seller would do it. But until it gets hot, no one's going to chase the trend if it's not a trend. But it is interesting with the whatnot packs because it's a little unclear where the retail value of them are compared to like, because people are kind of, I don't know if people were auctioning them or they had a fixed price and it was like, oh, this is the retail value. But if other publishers come in, I would imagine if they start selling it more like a Magic the Gathering pack where it's like, it costs $20 and it's like, that's the retail price. Like I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excuse me, did Whatnot only do the T packs last year? The X-Men and the one they did at New York Comic Con?
So they did 2 packs. They did the one at New York Comic Con and the X-Men packs. The X-Men packs was the first one they did, and it was just they were supposed to have those for a con, but they didn't get done in time. So, but I think the con is the place where they plan on doing more of these packs, and obviously they're going to do more in the future. So, and they're working on. And it's not just Whatnot. I mean, everybody and their mother is looking at creating these packs, whether it's McFarlane, Skybound, Image, Marvel, DC.
How long do you think that's going to last for before they go, okay, this fad is over?
I don't know.
Well, then they'll pivot. I think is like if they can do it for 6 months and get cash, like they'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Brian, you said this one time on one of your shows.
It's always a 6 months to the next scam sort of thing.
For sure. But and
I
you said
just
this
want to
on
hear
your
someone
show.
admit that. That's all.
Yeah, well, I'll give them all. I'll give them the most charitable interpretation that they're just trying to make a product and they think that this is a cool way to sell it. I'll give them that. You said, Brian, on your show that the variants, just the 1 in 100 variant, like I think that model has just become stale.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know too many. I don't know. Maybe there's people out there like, do people still buy the 1 in 100 variant because they just think like, oh, this is the 1 in 100. It's cool. As opposed to like, I just think that this is the cool cover. Like, I don't think anyone buys that anymore. So this is a new way to skin that cat, And I think that this is just.
But eventually the cat's going to run out of skin, don't you think?
Well, that's what we're saying. That the ratio variant, the high ratio 1 in 100 variant is running out of skin. And
the last time I bought a 1 out of 100 variant was a Milo Manera cover back in 2014. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This would work much better if all the retailers were not allowed to do the exclusives for those issues, because when they do all those exclusives, that adds that many more 1 to 100s to the pool, and it just become too saturated, and just like you can get that 1/100, or you can get the store exclusive for $20. It looks even better than that 1/100. And since they print 3,000 of them, they have ton of those 1/100s.
If you go on eBay, and I was on eBay the other day, I'm seeing 1/100s cheap as hell right now.
Yes, $20, $30, $40. So it also like
very few of them actually withhold their value. Very few. There are some, and I got a few in my collection, but they're few and far in between.
Because before there was a lot less retailers doing exclusive. It was just mainly the big stores doing it. Now everybody's doing exclusive, so they get a piece of that 1/100, 150 pie. That's the value in all those books.
You know, it's funny. It's now that I think about it, it really has become. It used to be 1 in 50, 1 in 25, 1 in 100. And then it became limited to 200, limited to 50, limited to 10.
Yes.
And now it's going to be one chance out of 500 to pull from pack.
Yes.
You know, it's all the same, but it's just different ways to calculate it.
And they can still print those 1 in 100s and just put them in the packs instead of sending them to retailers. Yep. So
and then what if I buy a pack and I get 2 of the 100s? I just scored.
Yeah.
Like,
so you have a 1% chance to hit, as opposed to a 1 in 100 cover.
Yeah.
King of the Golden State asked with his super chat if there was any retailer exclusive variants that we think that actually kind of held its value throughout the year, and there are a lot that have held their value throughout the year. It's just, I think it's all depends on rarity again. People have caught on that most retailer exclusive variants up until the end of this last year were 3,000 print count, 1,000 to 3,000 print count for the most part. And then towards the middle to the end of last year, you started seeing retailers doing 500 print count or less. So I don't know if we can consider Kickstarter books in that world, but
why wouldn't you?
Because I don't think they're the retailer exclusive model where a publisher, goes to the retailers and says, "Hey, you can do a variant, and with the variant, we're going to give you all the regular print covers." You know what I mean?
Sure, but you know what the number one question? Because when we talk about 1 out of 100s, 1 out of 50s, what we're really talking about here is print run. And the number one question I get asked is, "What's your print run for each of these covers?" People care. They care a lot.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Hey, Larry, what were you saying earlier about the the old school, like golden age? Like if you buy something now, like it would be like the golden age for us or for like someone down the road.
I mean, so you're 14 years old. You go buy a comic book, right? When you're 64, 74, you're going to look at that as old school comics because they've just aged that long. So like what we look at as golden age comics now, our modern comics now, to people 100 years from now, will be looked at in the same regard, right? Because they're going to be older, they're going to be rarer. Even if they're bag and board, things do deteriorate, things disappear, things get crushed, damaged, sold over time, lost to the fucking ages. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say like all modern comics are garbage.
Like Exo Man of War, when it came out, remember with the Joe Quesada when it came out, like was it 90 when Joe Quesada did like Exo Man of War?
Yeah.
Is that kind of like will it be like a golden age book down the road?
Well, give it another 50 years, and to someone it will be, right? Because those things won't be sold. They won't be as easily visible as they are now. As the world turns, we're going to go into more of a digital front, right?
Do you think it'll be as valuable?
Paper products are going to be even increasingly more rare.
So do you think it'll be as valuable now?
No, I don't think people are going to care then. I think they're just going to be ancient artifacts of our culture. Right. I think that comic books and the collecting of comic books for value and investment has taken a nosedive. And I think more and more people are going, it's just paper. It's just
I was going to say, I didn't want the I just picked this up, Brian. So this is my
my God.
We're talking about golden age. I didn't want like Exo Man of War to be like a golden age, down the road.
Holy cow,
I mean,
bro.
that just comes with age though, brother. I mean, this will become
Nate,
outside a golden age.
Congratulations, bro.
Yeah, dude, Nate, that's
when you talk
that's
about
a really nice one, Nate.
So, and there's a funny story about this. So, if you actually go, the crazy part is if Justin Nemesis Prime gave me a pass to get into New York Comic Con not this last fall, but the prior fall. And so I went in, and Metropolis had one, and they had a 1/8, and I was like, wow, man. But they also had right beside, they had the Boba Fett, like the rocket launching Boba Fett. I was like, oh my gosh, look at this thing. And I took a picture of the Boba Fett, and I went to the guy next to him, and he actually had a 1/8 Batman as well, but it presented much better. And I talked to him for a while. He was based out of Long Island, Larry, very nice guy. And he even said, he's like, yeah, I know what they have. He's like, there are two here. He's like, this one presents much better. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm a colorblind guy, but I was like, man, it seems like the yellow or the background like really kind of pops in this. He's like, yeah, I think it's a low grade, but the cover's disconnected. So that's why you kind of have what you have. And last February, Yi and I went to a sports card show, and Richard from Bedrock was set up. And he's always there. He's the only comic guy at the sports card show, and he has his stuff set up. And I talked to Richard. I was like, that is the holy grail right there for me. I can't believe you have that here. And he's like, well, if you want to talk, let's talk. So we talked for months, and it's a big. And Brian, I know you kind of mentioned about sometime having Richard on the show, and I mentioned it to him. He'd be a great guy to have on there. There's no way that this deal would have gotten done without him. And so that was one reason that kind of shrunk the comics on my wall fingers back here, because it was such a big trade. It basically took all my stuff was very low grade, like AF-15 and ASM-1 and Hulk 1 and Detective 38 and Showcase 4 and X-Men 1. I mean, it took everything. So it was basically kind of like putting all your chips in, but I was like, this is the one I want. And so it took a long time, and we took about 6 to 9 months to kind of figure it all out. And the last piece is really trying to figure out the Walking Dead one, that 9/9 I had. That's why I was talking to Clutch at NYCC. And actually, it's a funny part, you mentioned kind of the best part about 24, kind of meant meeting the guys that you had never met before, like Manimal and Clutch, like those kind of guys at cons that I think Swag hit it on the point, like going to the conventions and meeting the community, meeting those guys you talk to but you never actually met. And I told Clutch, hey, let me know if you sell your 9/9, because I'm trying to get rid of mine, because I'm like, this was the gap I was trying to close. But so let me take this thing.
But you're kind of missing the point of what I was saying. The reason why that's Golden Age is because of its age.
Larry, I'm just fucking with you. I'm not paying attention to what you're talking about with Golden Age.
Yeah, but I'm going to clarify for the chat.
I don't think they care.
Really?
That's
so you're trying to big time me? Is that what?
No, he's holding. No, Larry, he's holding a Batman 1, bro.
I'm just kidding, Larry.
Yeah, he's just fucking with you, man. He's holding a Batman 1 that he just
we
got.
don't know each other on that level yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
well, Larry, I'm sorry, pal.
Comic pimp.
So you sold your Walking Dead 9/9.
Yeah, so that was the last part. So that was the last piece to kind of close the gap, and that was one reason too, Brian. This little things like us talking all the time. I don't know if you realize, but the remember how I had the first 12 Star Wars?
Yep,
they're gone. They disappeared probably a little bit ago. So they went with it. So
wow,
everything there was a lot of stuff that went, but you kind of you gotta give to get
nothing that you can't replace versus this.
Oh yeah. Man.
Yes.
Yeah. So when exactly did you get the book in hand, Nate?
Richard came Wednesday.
Oh wow. So it's so fresh.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
He's still riding that high.
So I text Brian earlier. I was like, I got something I'll show you, because I'm like, this will be off campus soon. This will be nowhere here. But I'm like,
yes.
But
that's
I
awesome.
Honestly, I almost FaceTimed you, because I was like, I gotta call somebody.
You should, dude. I love this, bro. I can't believe that.
I'm curious. I'd love to hear 2 weeks from now or a month from now, what your thought, because that's always sort of the big question. Like, should you take your AF-15 and your ASM-1 and this Star Wars thing and put it all into that one Super Grail, and then like I'd love to hear like the reflection on that.
I remember like so there's a guy I grew up. Well, I didn't grow up with him, but I went to college with him, and I remember. So he lives in Hawaii, and I remember telling him, I'm like, this was literally 15 years ago. I was like, man, if I could get a Detective 38, that's the Grail. And I was explaining because we had just watched Dark Knight that like in Hawaii when it came out. I was like, man, if I could really get a Detective 38, like that's the first appearance of Robin, that would be it. I'd been buying comics, and I think that the only reason it kind of works out is just that if you really love the stuff, you've loved it so long, like before the whole curve with the MCU. I mean, COVID was one thing, but like being able to buy like AF-15 at like $1,700 and like Journey of Mystery and like all these other books like way before like 2010, like same thing Brian did with Ovechkin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it's the stuff that you love that you went ahead and went in and just because like you just love it, and that's it. It wasn't about like, hey, I'm going to sell this down the road for this. It's just because like you love it that much, and eventually it's just like stuff starts popping. Like, man, this may be a chance. And the funny part was when I went. So the whole point was that the guy, Larry, who had this copy, which I thought was really nice, I checked the serial number and I talked to Richard. I went back to my Instagram. This is the fucking copy. If you go back to like my Instagram and look at a Batman that I posted like 2 years ago, this is the same one. And he tells me about how he got it from Larry and like the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
I was like,
awesome sauce.
So when he showed up,
woo manifestation right there.
Yeah, crazy shit, right? Like you just never really know like how things kind of work out. Like it's just nuts.
That's
really
synchronicity.
It's just meant to be, Nate. Meant to be.
Yeah, I think that let's talk about that real quick because we're joking about this and that about golden age and modern age and how things are overprinted and this and that. And I think that when the people, it's so funny that you showed that, man. I wish JSS Brooklyn was here. If you're here watching this, brother, let us know. So many people that I've been talking to lately that are big investors in the comic book world have been talking about how like now's the time to start thinking about picking up some of these golden age books that have hit prices that are achievable again. Shout out to Ken, who just dropped a $4.99 super chat. He said, Nate, does this change the way you're going to be collecting going forward? What are your goals after that?
My goal is somehow or another to afford my son's high school. And this is actually, I was like, if this is 1 year at Avon Farms or Suffolk Academy or Episcopal, if it has to be, that's fine. But I'm like, I got it for... I've got it in hand. I feel like Mark Messier with the Stanley Cup, and I'm not, like I finally. I mean, I it's like you did it, and you can't believe you actually did it.
Yeah,
like it's just
you got to touch it.
Yeah,
that's awesome, bro.
So
that's a big deal, bro. You've been wanting to do that for a while now.
So I went back to our James.
What up, James?
I went back to our old videos. I tried to find like when you started up the channel and we were talking about New York Comic Con, because I remember at some point I said on one of those, I'm like, one of these days I'm gonna get that. And I was trying to find it and I couldn't find it.
The chat will find it. Trust us. We'll find that.
Yeah,
that's gonna be on you.
That is so awesome.
So do you have a book like that also that you're chasing? That you would trade all your Hell Black Wall and other stuff for?
Well, Captain America Comics 1 is mine. That's like my, like how Nate, you're saying like that was that's the one for me.
That one.
And at some point I would do it, but I'm not in the rush to do it, I guess is what I would say.
Yeah, but you probably have a lot more years than I do. I'm getting up there.
But like, you have to like I don't know if it's like I wonder if it's just like you have to be on a mission because it's not going to just happen. I like at a certain point I have to be like no I'm going to do it, and you're very clear. And I don't know if that was it for you, Nate, where it was like no This is.
I think when I saw him in 22 at New York Comic Con, I was like, man, I always thought, I was like, man, that would be just incredible. I'm like, that is the book. And then when I saw like the 2 copies, I'm like, man, I was like, the Boba Fett figure, I was like, man, that's the figure. And I'm like, God damn, I was like, that's the book. And they're sitting there right there. But I'm like, unless you have just just incredible amount of like money, it's just not going to happen. And that's why I give Richard for Bedrock, who's just a great guy to work with, all the credit. Because like he would just come up here and he would just kind of look around and like, how about this? I'm like, man, if you can find what you want, we just kind of go through stuff. And like, he was very fair. And like, again, like this is what sucks. Like I had the team, the one book I probably struggled with the most was the TMNT #1. Because I actually had that I bought from a friend of mine named Hung Ma back in like 88, 87, like when it first came out. Because he got it in Winston-Salem and he got it like 10 or 11 issues in. And but all the other stuff, there are great stories with it, but you can replace them. And he and I even talked about that. And the good part too for Richard is that all the stuff that I traded, he's been able to unload. The only thing I think he still has the showcase for.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's worked out well for both sides.
He'll eventually sell that for sure. Yeah.
Let me ask again, the 99 Walking Dead, because there's people asking what was that valued at?
So I sold it on eBay. I put it up for 21. I got 18.
Not bad.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised I got 18. I actually put up on Elite Comics I can't remember actually the number we put it up on for Elite. I didn't think I'd get it because I bought it for probably 12 or 13, maybe 3 years before that. And that's why I was talking to Clutch, because I knew he had one. And so just to try and fill the market out, because I was like, that's the gap. I'm like, if I could push that through, that solves the issue, as opposed to just like having to either get rid of something else. Because I don't want to get rid of my action figures. I've had to do that before and stuff like that. So, and when you have to get through, like, you've already kind of moved like the big ASM books. I don't want to go through like first Punisher, first Kingpin. Like, then you just kind of like, I don't want to deplete the entire vault, like just like all these little, the first appearances.
You got a lot of wall space that you still need to fill.
Nate, was it more in 2022 than what you got it for now, or was it cheaper?
No, it's more now. Or it was cheaper in 22.
Okay.
And then the good part is actually we figured out a couple different things. So it was more, but it wasn't drastically more. And just like I think this book softened up, but same stuff as well. But all the books have softened up, so it kind of
that's very interesting, because that goes back to what I was talking about. How so many of these people are saying golden age is where it's at. That's like the safe play. But man, there's been Action Comics 1s that can't even get past the reserve on Heritage auctions.
Just the Heritage show.
Yeah.
For the Action 1 at the 6.5 going for under $500,000.
And then you've got a suspense comics selling for a CGC 4.0 sold for how much? 100. What was it? What was that sale?
150.
Yeah, 150. Like what the hell? Are you kidding me? So it's weird. It's hard to read this market, but I still think that, and the reason why I'm talking about this is because I basically went through all my collection and said, okay, I'm okay with getting rid of all this stuff now, because I can get 99% of it back, because there's so much of it out there. I'm not worried about. I'll be able to find another 131 Hulk 181. I'll be able to find another Green Lantern 76. I'll be able to, like, these Silver Age and up books that like I'm holding on to. It's not that big of a deal to me anymore. But I'll never be able to punch. I'll never be able to get that punch back, so that's staying. Like, I'll never be able to get another, most likely a Walter Payton rookie on top of a 76 cello pack, those are the things that I'm holding on to, and everything else I'm kind of like, okay, I'm okay with getting rid of it now and starting a new collection, starting something, starting something new, starting something fresh. Because I do feel like a lot of the stuff in my PC is stale. Do any of you guys feel that way about your PC collections?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to move into something that's more gettable, but still rare. But yeah, I've been mowing through my long boxes of PC stuff that I've had for years. I've just been selling it all on eBay Live. I'm over it. I'm trying to, every show I go to this year, I want to pick up something that I think I'll enjoy more.
Yes.
Amen. Or upgrade stuff that I do enjoy that, but yeah, I'm kind of done. But ideally, my collection is going to be comic art and maybe 20 books that I really, really want to have.
Amen.
Like that's my end goal.
That was actually
I don't want
question.
Everything else is inventory to me. But I want like 15 or 20 solid books that I really will enjoy. And once I get those 10 or 20 books, I just want to work on upgrading them, trading into higher copies and stuff like that. So I'm done with long boxes of stuff. I'm done with it.
Yep.
Well, yeah, they do like Batman for 101.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
For like an original art 101. Like
what?
He had a chance to. Like, would Nate trade his Batman? Like, obviously you just got it, but like for something like, I don't know, first appearance of Punisher, actual original cover.
He wouldn't be able to do that,
something like that. Like in that sense, would you do, because you can still get another Batman book, but there's only one.
Yeah, but there's only one.
Yeah.
I think it depends on like what characters you like and what if you're a big Spider-Man, you're a Punisher guy, like I know this sounds ridiculous, but I even told Richard when he was here that so during COVID, I'd read back through like the entire G.I. Joe run and read the IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I went back and I read Stormwatch, the original Stormwatch run from like early 90s all the time. I don't know if you guys remember when they came out with Images of Tomorrow, and everybody went to 25, like after I think Stormwatch did after like issue 10 or 7. Like that issue 25 to me of Stormwatch was such a big thing. Like I would do anything to find that art, like that cover art, or even better when they were displaying the art and it was just saying like what had happened, like Battalion was dead, like all these different things. Like I just couldn't believe it when I first saw it. Like it stunned me so much. Like it's almost like it was when Robin died. Like to me, like it was such a big piece of fabric that I've just never forgotten whatsoever in my collecting.
So would you trade a key for like a 101 away that you would that's equal or better value?
I don't think so. Like even if it was G.I. Joe's cover one, like number 1, I don't think I would trade the Batman one for it. And that, I don't think so. It'd have to be something that just really like hard to even like think about.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles first cover.
Well, speaking of that,
oh yeah, now you're talking. I looked at buying those reprints, and man, I was going to buy them, but they're so expensive.
Yeah. What was the price on those?
If you want just a copy that is like a clean, like a 9.8 version, but not graded, it's $100.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I was like, man, that's just too much to spend for. I just want to.
Well,
I'll just go back to my color copy.
What's interesting about that is that kind of that whole kind of thing was very interesting if you guys didn't see it, and that takes us into
I got you, McClay. I hope this makes your coming around, because these dudes, goofy ass dudes.
Into the into the into the
but let's get down to business.
So it was very interesting to see that whole thing happen. This was I got this from Big Clutch, and I don't know if you guys all got to see this, but we're gonna watch it real quick. Check this out.
Yeah, I was planning on doing a reaction video about this because I know where you're gonna go with it. I saw it the other day. It's crazy.
Oh, okay. This is crazy, you guys. So here we go. All right. This is so crazy, you guys. What you just saw there was them reprinting Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 from the original negatives. Okay? They just reprinted Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1. And if you guys haven't seen this, this is crazy. Here we go.
Enjoy that piece of it. But I'd almost think of it more like a curator of a museum. I have literally every Ninja Turtles comic book since Ninja Turtles #1. Even back when I was a kid, I was very detail-oriented. I wanted everything in its place. I wanted everything to be organized. If you look at the pictures of my room, you can see that all the action figures are aligned in rows, like they aren't randomly hung.
That's like every kid's bedroom back then, right? If you collected, action figures, you would have them on your wall like that if they were unopened. I remember doing that with Spawn figures.
Like they aren't randomly hung. I have thousands and thousands.
The nerdy girl, the famous nerdy girl pose.
Comic books. I thought the cover artwork was just glorious. Everything's cataloged. I really love making sure I know where everything is. I bag and board every comic book, front to back, stacked. Maybe about 25 to 30 historical pieces these were. They were special. You could tell exactly what historical pieces these were.
He bought the negatives for issue #1, you guys.
The plates?
These were the original negatives that were used to plate the 40 body pages of the first and second printings of TMNT #1. It was pretty apparent when I took them out of the box. Like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. But I also knew how fragile they were. There were pieces of them falling off as I was taking them out of the box. I felt like it was my responsibility to take care of them.
Hey, can we pause for a second, please?
Why? What did it sell for? Did he say? Do we know what they sold for?
He didn't say. He didn't say in the doc how much he bought it for.
I'm just gonna check your mic real quick.
It's really fascinating.
Okay, so you bought these, but how did you know that they were legit?
So just like with any valuable collectible, you have to authenticate it. So the way I did it was actually pretty cool. Once I got the negatives and the comics spread out to compare, I started noticing some imperfections and variations on the pages of the printed books. So I took a closer look at the negatives to see if they might have caused these variations. When negatives were used to...
I love how they use these cool montage things from the 70s and 80s, old newspaper places. It just is badass.
Plate the printings. The printing technicians would use red lithographer's tape to mask or clean up imperfections in the layout. The cool thing about the first 2 printings of issue #1 is that they missed a few of these tiny areas, resulting in light leaks where you can see marks outside the page boundary. The most obvious example of this is on page 29, where a strip of red lithographer's tape covers a line of actual artwork on the negative, and that resulted in a missing line in the first 2 printings of TMNT #1. Once I knew what I was looking for, I began to find irregularities throughout.
You could tell he thought he was this shit. Like, that was them being like...
printed comics. But when it comes down to it, the smoking gun is on page 29. If there's no line on the edge, you have a first or second printing.
I think what we'll do is put this down on it. We just have something soft to put it on.
As soon as I authenticated what they were, I wanted to show people these.
This pisses me off for some reason, and I want people to change my mind, and we'll talk about it.
Will that fit through the door?
That's what every collector wants, is to have a copy of Ninja Turtles #1. What if we could print from these negatives? This wouldn't be a reprint just for reprint's sake. This is a reprint to say we're doing it just like we did it 40 years ago.
So does that mean it's an original print?
No, it also means he doesn't have the right to do it. He's not Mirage Studios. He's not Eastman and Laird. He's not IDW. He owns a piece of history, granted, but that doesn't give him the right to reproduce the comic.
All right, let's check it out.
The same kind of paper, the same printing techniques, and to get it printed in Maine, same as the original.
All right, first technical problem. I'm thinking, yep, that's the emulsion side.
I think there's an aspect of documenting the beginning of one of the largest franchises in comic book history. Do you know anyone that doesn't know what a Ninja Turtle is?
I'm 40 years next year in the business, and I haven't thought about film in a very long time.
It's artistry. When you look at these and you look at how they're taped and how they're arranged.
Oh, yeah. You had to know what you were doing.
I mean, I'm very, very happy with that.
Super cool. All the lettering was done on the page. All the effects were done on the page. But this is the closest true version to the original art you'll see.
That is crazy.
It was our first comic. We'd done photocopy comics. This was actually going through the process of creating something that was going to be our first official real comic. I've not seen these negatives. I've not seen this process since that time, almost 40 years ago.
I want to show you something really cool. This is the one with the red tape.
I do that.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Do you forget how fragile some of these things are?
Disappearing behind there.
No. And you spelled intruder right.
Originally, I didn't set out to do this when I started collecting. I wasn't going to reprint number 1, but I am so far beyond the normal comic geek. This is at a level of archaeology.
There we go.
There's a method to the madness, even if no one else sees it. I haven't seen a newsprint comic book in so long. I mean, the smell of newsprint, like that is Turtles. This is just so exciting. I think by reprinting this comic and staying as true as possible to the original production process, it's like reliving history. But it isn't just a copy of it.
What's that?
Did he get the blessing of the Eastman, and Peter Lord on this?
From the looks
Eastman
of it,
was there helping him do it.
yeah.
Oh, wow, all right. That's interesting.
It's the copy of it. And this feels a lot like the original.
So is this official counterfeit?
Holding that first book was pretty incredible. It was a tangible thing. Everything we did to make this happen came into line to get it in my hands. 11-year-old me would never have imagined that I'd be creating a piece of history. And it's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Printing money right there, you guys. Printing money. And does it have the link to buy them? Where is it? Where is it?
If they were endorsed by Eastman, I definitely want to buy a couple of copies. That is kind of.
So is that
Link to buy. This guy's an influencer.
Is it an official facsimile edition?
They are for sale. Where is it? Where is it? Am I missing it? Aren't they already for sale for $100 a piece? Yeah. I believe they are. Anyways, until I find this, $100 a piece for a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle reprint. What do you guys think?
It's a reprint. I mean, it's been done.
Yeah.
How many times has that book been reprinted? I mean, despite him having the original negatives and Eastman sounding off on it, I don't even know if Eastman still has that many rights to the Turtles left. I mean, I know that they're able to do it in the sense that if they want to continue making comic books, they can. And I think that's where their rights stop. $100 is ludicrous, first of all. Second of all, what does IDW think? Whoever has the Turtle license, are they a part of this?
That's a great question.
There's definitely a lot of gray area.
Yeah.
To your point, Larry. I mean, there's a lot of like, what does this really mean? I mean, we saw Kevin Eastman was in the doc, and you would think that that's him giving the thumbs up, but what does that also mean? You know,
He's also they're for sale on his website. That's where they're.
Oh,
at.
okay.
And it's a three book bundle for $100.
What's the other 2 books?
33 a copy. One's a red cover and one's like a gray with blue thing. Here, I'll put the link in the group chat thing.
Because
I mean, it's cool, but I kind of would rather just buy a third print.
Yeah.
Well, now you're buying the 6th print.
With it personally.
What's that?
I said that's where I stand with it. I'd rather buy a third print as well, but
look at that. There you go. To mark the 40th anniversary of publishing the first printing, Kevin Eastman Studios is thrilled to present. So he probably told the guy, this happened in 22. I imagine he probably told the guy, like, yeah, you can do this, but I get all the ones that you print. You can keep them for yourself. I get the rest, and I get to sell them. You know what I mean? There was probably some type of deal like that.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
I do like. It looks like the back of them do say Kevin Eastman Studios and have his website on the back, so there is a way to easily differentiate between them.
Right.
So
Okay,
just
good.
$100 facsimile edition.
Yeah.
You know, it is. I think the interesting. It does kind of open up that "catch me if you can" kind of worms, where it's like,
yes,
I don't know. Do the negatives for Hulk 181s exist out there somewhere still? You know.
That's a great point, because that's what got this instantly. What I started thinking is, my head went, people are going to start looking for negatives of these things and do this on, not on the up and up. They're going to do this on, hey, if we can, because listen, the reason why I think this is, we had the guy who did that pre-code horror Kickstarter that we love, right? And one of the things that I love about it is he said that he is researched the type of paper they used for those original books and is having those books reprinted on the same type of paper using the same type of ink that they use. Now, if you talk to Mark Spears, who his cards that he created, you know, he wanted them to feel exactly like old school Topps movie cards, and they feel exactly like old school Topps movie cards. So there's, if you're not on the up and up and you can figure out a way to find those printers to do that, you literally can print gold, you know, money with this by doing something like this.
That's
you know?
scary.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it just opens the floodgates, dude, is what it does.
Yes. Yeah. CJ, what's up, my brother?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man. Happy New Year.
Hey.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Have you seen this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reprinting thing?
Listen, I've seen way too much reprinting of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Believe it or not, there's a few bootleg versions of that book that look so close to the original, it'll freaking blow your mind. And there's a couple of them circulating here in New York.
I'm not surprised.
Yes, Swaggle House.
It is.
Is that Mickey?
What's up, dude?
I didn't even realize you were in here. Happy New Year.
I must not be doing a good job tonight.
Well, no, because I'm oblivious. I don't look at people. But now I saw you. Now that we're on the same screen, I saw you. Well, hello there.
It feels nice to be seen.
That's right.
So let me ask you, CJ, your favorite. Do you have any favorite moments of 2024 comic book wise?
As far as streaming, or I have a great experience.
Anything. I want to hear about it. And we just lost them.
One stream for the amount of somebody a bitch on one stream. I think that was one of my favorite. That was quite a highlight.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Do you really?
Yeah, we're in Drama Report. I mean, come on, let's get into it.
I'm sitting doing a normal stream on Insomniac one night. You know, we're just talking. Bueller shows up in the chat out of nowhere. You know, he's like doing his normal Bueller thing. And all of a sudden we get a fiery man named Brian that comes in there. You're a bitch.
The word was pussy.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was pussy. I'm sorry.
yeah. That was definitely a moment for sure, to say the least. And yes, we are in comic book drama alert.
From Journal on his interview. That was interesting.
That was an interesting moment.
No, we had quite a few. Listen, I might have taken a hiatus from a lot of the streaming that I did, but we had quite a few events that happened this year on Insomniac Theater. So it's hard to just pinpoint it to one. We had many interesting moments this year.
Yes, and drama-filled moments, especially, and. You know, we kind of talked a little bit about this on Swag's year-end wrap-up, but since you're in here now and we've got a couple people who have dealt with drama this year, I want to get everybody's aspect on their feelings of drama heading into 2025. Now I get to ask Swag the drama question. What are all your guys' feelings about drama heading into 2025? Swag, we'll start with you.
Well, it is the internet, so there will always be drama, no matter what. No matter what hobby we partake in, there will be drama. But I do think that 2024 was a unique year in that interpersonal drama within comic book content creators was at a high. And I think that there's many factors there, but a lot of it has to do with what else were people going to talk about? You know, people are kind of generating interest and conversation, and that kind of became the topics. But I think the drama next year, you know, we'll have some of that too. But I think the main drama is going to be PSA coming in. I'm sure it's not going to be smooth sailing. You know, they're not, you know, every grading company is going to have issues. So I'm sure that there will be interesting things there. And then my big guess is the Kickstarter thing that I made mention. Like, Kickstarter's just been moving along.
What are you talking about?
Here's where I'm going, Larry. Here's where I'm going. Kickstarters, it's been going well. You know, Niobe comes out, it's fulfillment. You know, I do my things, fulfillment. Dynamite's doing their Kickstarters. People are doing their Kickstarters, going really well. And it's been smooth sailing. And all the publishers are starting to do it more, and you're getting more into it. And I just think that it's been too many days since there's been an accident at work. That's how I'll phrase it. Like, I just think
you
everyone
suspect
is
some
going,
sort of Kickstarter drama coming down the road. I'm just trying to figure out what you're
there's been Kickstarters and creators who have like not fulfilled, but that hasn't
like
really caught.
by Man Skyver?
Rob Liefeld. Yeah.
I didn't do it. Okay.
Or like Donnie Cates had one that like it hasn't caught the wind, you know, it hasn't been talked about. And you know, I here's my hypothetical. Like, I could just imagine, like, what if Marvel is like, hey, you know, Dynamite's doing Kickstarters, Image is doing Kickstarters, why don't we do a Kickstarter? And they like kickstart Spider-Man, and then people start going like, why is this big publisher doing Kickstarters? Like, why are we funding, you know, them? Yeah, I just see it as like, this is where everyone is going. And Skybound kind of did it, right? They were doing some like market share thing with their company that was a Kickstarter, and that was kind of like, this is kind of weird.
I'm happy you brought that up, like, because that's been a freaking pet peeve of mine for a while. And I had it I've had it out with a few publishers as far as why do they need to publish on Kickstarter? You know, you got a publisher. It doesn't have to be Marvel. It doesn't have to be DC. You freaking Boom, freaking Dynamite. Why are you kickstarting?
Because it's a smart way to not have to spend money. That
I'll answer a question with a question. Why would you leave money on the table?
Exactly.
Because Kickstarter is meant to be as a Kickstarter for a fledgling idea, product, company.
That was the initial dream of it, yes, but it's changed now to a pre-order online store.
Well, I don't like that.
I would just say this: the friction that you guys kind of have, or just the conversation. I just think that's going to be a big conversation this year.
Well, look, if Marvel does a Kickstarter, you're damn right people are going to turn their head and go, what the hell is going on over here? And they're going to ask the same questions that CJ is going to ask, of course. But are they going to do gangbusters and probably bring in millions of dollars? Yeah, probably. And that's the reason why.
We've already did kind of get into this. As a matter of fact, Nick Brucci jumped up and kind of talked about it. And
he's in your chat right now.
Yeah. So like that's kind of been said for the smaller, I shouldn't say smaller publishers, but the non-big two. But if the big two decided to do it, that
why
would
do
be...
he always jumps out when I talk about him?
Oh, jump on, Nick. Jump on the stream.
No, he doesn't.
I can't talk behind his back.
The thing is that it's just smart business at this point. Bottom line is smart business. It's I don't see why you wouldn't do it.
And then it just starts to
Kickstarter.
Well, then it just starts to open up all these questions of like, well, what does it mean for the LCSs, right? Like, you know, you talked about on the industry show, like the Kickstarters are not necessarily a good thing for LCSs, you know? I don't know. I just think it's an interesting changing of, not that it's not been around for a while, but like obviously more of the big publishers are using it more and more. And it just makes you wonder, Where
Well, someone brought up why not go to the LCS? You know, LCSs are closing, not opening, right? And not everyone has an LCS close to them. And so by going to Kickstarter, you're able to find these things that may not necessarily be readily available to you around the corner. I mean, yes, you can do that on eBay and a variety of other websites too, but Kickstarter has a name. Todd McFarlane wasn't foolish when he brought in his toys and raised over $3 million on that site. Right now, you got Gold Digger from Antarctic Press. No one really, how many people really know Gold Digger? But you go over there and they're doing like $40,000 on their Kickstarter, which is probably the most Antarctic's probably ever made on a Kickstarter, I'm guessing. You got Heavy Metal Magazine, well over $700,000 US for Kickstarter.
Listen, I get it. There's money to be made on there, but I would prefer personally to see them split, like the mainstream kickstarting and the real legitimate people that need the kickstarting, the startups. You know, it's taken away the whole essence and the whole point of the crowdfunding aspect
away though, because if I'm an undercard wrestler, right? I'm a new guy that WWE just hired, and they put me on the same program as Hulk Hogan. So in this instance, let's say Niobe's running the same time that Todd McFarlane is running a big Spawn book on Kickstarter. Todd's going to bring in the eyes. Yes, they're not coming in for me, but because he brings in more eyes, there's more chances that my product gets seen.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that, but at the same time, they don't need that platform. You know, a lot of the people that go onto that platform go to back ideas, products, concepts, comics, publication, whatever it is, because they believe in it. They want to support that creator, get them on their feet to get a business started. It's almost like a way to fund and get somebody going, and then when they get going, okay, now go do your thing. Like, you don't need to stay in here and keep milking it every time. Like, all right, Mickey, you did Sanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kickstarter. Are you going to be doing every single issue on Kickstarter, or are you going to be doing them direct?
Well, I would probably finish it out with another Kickstarter.
But you're going to finish out that first series, okay? But let's say it really, really takes off. You did very well on your first ones, right?
Yeah.
You did very well. But let's say it really takes it to another level. Aren't you going to want to be in the shops, in the publication or something like that? Are you going to want to keep kickstarting and doing them all independently like that?
Yeah, I mean that would be the goal. I mean, I'd have to really look into it because what Kickstarter does is it becomes a marketing event for the title, right? It's this like lightning rod point where people can rally around, like, okay, here's this thing that's coming out and get excited about it. And it's hard to do that, say, with weekly comic books every Wednesday at an LCS. It's hard to have that sort of North Star moment. So I understand why companies use it. And, you know, you can't capture, say, like the Mark Spears lightning in the bottle moment without a Kickstarter like thing that helps it generate that hype. Like if Monsters was just coming out on Wednesday, I don't think it would be what it was with the Kickstarter. So, but to your point, I agree with you conceptually. Like, in an idealistic way, it's like Image should just have, you know, reap the benefits and the proceeds and all the profits from all their other products that they've sold throughout the years and be using that capital to reinvest into developing new things, which they do. But it is a little bit strange when it's like, well, let's have our fans invest capital for the thing that we'll develop, and then we'll also sell it retail to the fans again. And it's like, wasn't that the point of the retail? Wasn't the retail profits the thing that was going to be developing the next product?
Especially especially the IPO product that people are going to buy, regardless.
I gotta move CJ because it looks like we're doing the shrunken head thing. So
it does look
As a guy who does both, I like to weigh in on this.
To the top.
The thing is that Swag can do both. He can run Kickstarters and he can go into the shops. I do it myself. There's no reason to leave money on the table.
Yeah, but
no,
Larry,
and
you're
I
in the
agree- I
same
agree
boat,
with
though.
you.
Yeah, Larry, you're in the same boat, though. You're still getting to that point where you wanted to go super mainstream. You know what I'm saying? You haven't gotten to that point, to Marvel, DC point where they're like, we want to buy Niobe. You know what I'm saying?
Well, neither is swag. You have to sell tens of thousands of copies to even make it worth your while, wallet-wise, to even consider that. We make far more money off of any Kickstarter than I've ever made off of being on the shelf.
I'm just saying, isn't that the goal though for all every creator? Like I'm putting out a Kickstarter. It's going to launch at the end of this month. Okay, I want to release it and probably release the first few issues of it to create a proof of concept for what I'm creating. I feel in my mind that once I have that proof of concept and it's something that's worthwhile that either a publisher would want to carry, or if it's big enough for me to be going directly under.
So let me give you the realistic how that actually works. You're going to put out your Kickstarter, and if you're lucky, you get funded. Some people, many people don't. But let's say you do. You put out issue 1, you get funded, you raise a couple $1,000s. First of all that money's gone because it's going to cost you that amount in time and production and material. You're going to do maybe a couple of more, and maybe you get up a little bit higher. Maybe now you're doing $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 Kickstarters. Well, you're making more money, but you're also producing more, so that costs more money. Let's say then you get popular enough that you're put on the shelf, okay? And you sell 5,000 units on your first go. Well, that probably nets you about $1,200 to $1,300, and you're making less now than you made on your Kickstarters. That's the reality of it.
Makes sense. It makes sense. But I also think that you have to spend money to make money. I'm a real big believer of that. And I also think you go through your growing pains in the beginning. You gotta eat it a little bit in the beginning in order to get to the final end game where you want to be at.
Well, you really got to have belief in yourself. I have belief in my.
Oh, I'm a free. I believe in myself.
Great things, but there's also just the reality of it. You know,
dude, I believe in myself like nobody else believes in me. I believe in me.
I mean, I think you know what it is. CJ, it's kind of like this. Like this is how I sort of think of it. Where I conceptually agree with you, but like the medium and the landscape change. It's sort of like SNL. You do all these skits. It's like, shouldn't you just be happy airing on NBC? But it's like, no, they do that. And then they also post their skits on YouTube, and they have a YouTube channel. And now like YouTube used to be this thing that was like truly for like the independent people who would make stuff. But then like every media company now has massive channels, and they just go to that area because that's where they have to diversify. They have to do it all.
Yep.
And that's kind of the same thing here. And
Wayne Gretzky was the greatest.
In me liked YouTube circa 2005, but that's
Wayne Gretzky was the greatest hockey player
on YouTube. No, it's a free platform.
Wayne Gretzky was the greatest hockey player ever, and he said when they would ask him, what is your most reason why you're the greatest hockey player, and he would say, because I'm not going where the puck is. I'm going where the puck's going to be, right? So you have to think about where this is going to be. You're losing out a lot on this already, and that gives me a great opportunity to talk to Nick, who just joined us, Nick Barucci of Dynamite. Nick, at what point do you think that people stop using Kickstarters because they're getting a cut of it?
I don't think that every case is different. I don't think there's a reason to stop using Kickstarter. I'm going to throw out a few things because Kirkman's been brought up a few times here, okay? First of all, I feel like Robert Kirkman and Skybound doing G.I. Joe on Kickstarter was not only good for Skybound, but it was good for the comics market.
I 100% agree.
Because I know a lot of people that looked at the Kickstarter and said, I don't want to pay for that shipping. I'll wait till my LCS has it. Or I don't want to prepay for it. I'll wait till my LCS has it. Look at the history of G.I. Joe. I'm going to use this, the most successful crowdfunder. This beat Neil Gaiman. This beat Berserker. Look at that success level. But look at the history of G.I. Joe. Would G.I. Joe ever have had reprints that would have come to 1/10 of this success if they only sold it in the comics market and only sold it in the book market?
No, just be another reprint.
Arguing that everybody shouldn't be on Kickstarter is like saying don't sell your books on Amazon, don't sell them at Barnes and Noble, don't sell them at Books A Million. Only sell them. Thanks, Neo B. Appreciate it. Only sell them through comic stores.
That's not true, Nick. That's not true. It's very different. And the other thing is funny you brought up Berserker, because Berserker is probably one of the most Bush League moves I've seen done on Kickstarter. It
Why
is
do you
by
say
far
that?
one of them.
Why do you say that? Yeah.
How's it Bush League?
Why? Because they did such a great crowdfunding campaign, and literally they swamped the freaking LCSs with more issues after that Kickstarter.
Well, they didn't swamp the LCSs. The LCSs supported it. There's a difference. And they made the books fully returnable. So the LCSs who over-ordered were able to return copies. Or wait, you know what? Boom doesn't do full returnable if you're in the Boom program. But people who backed it, who bought 1,000 copies, they got the Keanu Reeves signed book that they can then get graded. So look, here's my prediction. And Keanu's probably, if you look at that Berserker Kickstarter, just look at it in a vacuum. Pretend there's no other Kickstarters. I thought what Boom did was brilliant. They worked with an actor who actually loves comics. They worked with an actor who got behind it on the Kickstarter. They also worked with an actor. When number 1 came out, he was on Jimmy Fallon. When the first collection came out, he was on, oh God, what's the other Jimmy's name? I can't believe I can't think of his name. Jimmy Kimmel. So you've got somebody that, because the comic was so successful, every time there was a touch point that the comics market can make more money, even though they already made that $1.5 million. And look, you know, everybody who does Kickstarters here, they know the way it works. I'll use a simple, let's say you make $100,000 on a Kickstarter, like just simple math here. If you make $100,000, 10% of the people's credit cards don't go through. Then you give 10% to Kickstarter, and then you get like 80%, which is great. You get $80,000. A couple of things happen when you're doing a Kickstarter. One, you are reaching 600,000 people a day go to Kickstarter to the discovery section to try and find something to back. And a lot of these people are not going to go to a comics store. They don't know how to go to a comic store. They may not even know how to buy a graphic novel at a bookstore, because if you're not manga and if you're not something big, you're not getting great bookstore placement anyway. If you're on Amazon, you're fighting everybody on Amazon. But I'll agree with what was said earlier, which is when you have a Todd McFarlane, when you have a Keanu Reeves Berserker, when you have a Robert Kirkman G.I. Joe, you're getting more people that actually go to Kickstarter who will then find other projects. They'll discover something new because now they've been exposed to it. I will tell you, one of the reasons why we use Kickstarter is because we get a lot of feedback right away. When we did the Terminator Kickstarter, there were a few things we were doing that the fans came to us and said, you know, we really prefer if you did this. And, you know, if you hear 3 people saying it, you're like, eh. But when I got 40 people saying it, it's like, okay, let's look at this. Like, we made the books oversized because about 30 or 40 of the fans asked for it. And we were originally going to do it as a stretch goal. And we decided, you know what? Just give it to the fans. Just tell them we're doing it. We're just going to do it. There's no stretch goal making it oversized. You know what? You guys want it. You're getting it. And you get that benefit of that immediate, it's not immediate gratification, but immediate feedback where you can improve upon what you're making, whether it's a comic, it's a game. I mean, look, Kickstarter is huge for games because fans give a lot of feedback on games that really help developers improve on games. I think that the other thing that's being missed here, CJ, is that the Kickstarter is a community. And when you're doing a Kickstarter, for example, and look, you know, publishers always got to be careful how, when you're dealing with licensed comics, like what you can commingle with, so to speak. But like, CJ, if you're doing a Kickstarter It's real easy for Niobe to promote it if he wants to, just like it's real easy for you to promote Niobes if you want to. And just like YouTubers like Swag coming on here, Brian going on other people's podcasts, you support each other and you grow your audience that way. There are so many ways to create such a positive effect. And just remember one thing. You got to succeed at the most important thing, which is put out something that people really love. Because if you put that out there, you can then grow it. Look, I said this last time I was on the air. The reason why we did look, I'll friggin' say it. We did over $1 million in Transformers cards. Okay. And Brian knows how we got that deal. He and I have talked about it a few times. We were really, really fortunate. We basically complimented Hasbro on signing the deal with Skybound, which to them was unheard of. You know, the person who was in charge of Hasbro at the time said, you know, after people go for a license, if a competitor gets it and a book comes and something comes out, I only hear what the other publisher or the other person who lost the deal says that person did wrong. Like, you know, like they would have thought that if I'm reaching out, I would have said what Skybound did wrong. I actually said Skybound did a better job than we would have. They got Daniel Warren Johnson. We never would have thought of that. They really killed it. They really made it work. And I was happy for Skybound and I was happy for Hasbro because it helped comic retailers. We ended up getting the trading cards. We wanted to do some things that we couldn't afford to do, like parallel cards throughout the entire series. Doing the Kickstarter gave us that cushion. We took in $285,000, and that gave us the cushion to give the fans more, which helped retailers sell more. And that's and you know, I'm all over the place. I'm a little bit, you know, passionate about this. We've discussed it a few times. It really just comes down to just making it work, but everybody can make it work together, you know? I mean,
Nick, I'll be straight with you on this. It's funny you mentioned Hasbro, okay? On the fact that, first of all, I've said this to you before and I'll say it again. You're one of the few people in this industry that I use as a example for a lot of people, because you've done things the right way all the way through. You've done a lot of things in this industry. You've achieved a lot of stuff, and I commend that. You know, I'm not taking away a lot of the stuff that you've been able to do throughout your career and for how you promote. I wish every single company out there had a promoter like you for their own publication. Okay, so that being said, Hasbro is beyond one of the most Bush League crowdfunding type of platforms that I've seen in recent years. The Hasbro does not need to be funding and crowdfunding for their hazmat projects. Okay, and there's been a lot of debacles that have happened through that. What stops everybody from getting to that point where they're Hasbro or Mattel or whatever company that you want to be, Marvel, DC, and you're doing these things just as a cash grab, because that's basically what it feels like coming from these larger companies. They can make the product. They could put it on the shelves, and if it's good enough, it will sell out. So that means they have no faith in the product. It means they're not willing to pony up and put up money out of their pocket in order to put out a product that they feel that is going to sell out, but they want to take a loan from everybody else and so they can make that product. A billion-dollar company.
It's a multi-billion-dollar company, but let me just say one thing. Let me jump to the one thing, and then I'll go back to the middle of this. What will stop them from doing it is if the audience feels like every project's a cash grab, regardless of who it is. If it's Dynamite, if it's Hasbro, if it's Skybound, if it's Boom, the second people feel like these are just cash grabs, the audience will stop supporting them.
But doesn't that show no faith in a company's product? If they're looking to crowdfund a project that's supposedly going to be a great thing. Now, you did the Transformers cards. That's going to sell. Okay? It's going to sell because people love Transformers.
Yes.
You know, but
and because we did, and I will tell you one thing, because we did the Kickstarter, we actually started getting increased orders. We ended up selling out and allocating because the projected orders were X and we ended up selling Y, but because we were able to announce we were doing extra chase cards, it's incremental and it's an intangible, but I could feel that it helped it along. Look, and CJ, it's really easy to say, just put it out on the shelves. If you build it, they will come. But you always have to keep in mind there are things that retailers can't afford to take a risk on or can't afford to try. And if you want to do something extra special for the audience, reaching direct to consumer is the way to go. The thing is look, as somebody was saying earlier, not all of the Kickstarters even get funded. And I think comics is the highest at 60%. Almost every other category is less than comics. And I truly think that comics is at the highest because we all bring a passion to what we're doing. And it makes a difference. And look, it does come to also respecting the audience. Like we did the Thundercats backer kit right now. And it broke $100,000. And we started working with Mark Spears, and Mark was doing a cover to Thundercats 12 and 13 for us. And I said to Mark, I was like, hey, do you mind if we create a variation where we give it to the backer kit people for buying the hardcover? It was just our way of saying thank you for everybody who supported us. And he was cool with it. Again, that goes back to just respecting the audience by giving them something extra because they already supported us. Obviously, everybody going forward is going to get it, but we made it clear that everybody who backed us from the get-go was getting it as well. I think that we're all fighting for shelf space, and the best way to get shelf space is to make sure people know what you're doing. I think if Boom did Berserker and they didn't do the Kickstarter, it probably would have sold 100,000 copies, which is a great number. But because they did the Kickstarter, I mean, again, because I think what Boom did was brilliant. And that is a strong word to use, okay? But it was brilliant. They did the Kickstarter. Keanu Reeves was not a passive person. He was vested. He wanted this to be successful. And he did the video for the Kickstarter. This wasn't a star who put his name on the book and said Keanu Reeves presents. It was Keanu Reeves as Berserker. And again, took in 1.5 million. Boom then really pushed it in the direct market with the periodicals. The first one sold 600,000. They sold hundreds of thousands of the rest, and they sold tens of thousands of the collections. And all it did was grow the comics market. I'll agree with you. They could have done it without all of this, and it would have sold 100,000 copies plus maybe 150,000, but it wouldn't be the same effect that this was. And
how do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know if they went direct to market and Keanu Reeves came out on his social media platforms and turned around and said, hey guys, I'm Berserker? How do you know that wouldn't have inflamed the market? Not only it made the market go wild on Kickstarter, but hit the public as far as fans, John Wick people, Hollywood people, all kinds of people that they got it. How do you know that wouldn't happen?
Well,
now
I'll
Boom
say
is a smaller company, so I kind of put Boom in like the same. Not you a little bit, in my mind, a little bit bigger, but they're smaller. They're not DC and they're not Marvel. So, sure. It's a little bit different. But to say that they wouldn't made it with the right kind of promotion and the right kind of little post that comes out of the right person at the right time, guess what? They probably would have hit those numbers, if not more, if done correctly.
I will say this. They had the best-selling book in 10 years. The best-selling book in 10 years. And every I would say almost every, not Kevin Smith, someone who grew up in our industry, who loved our industry, who made his bones with Daredevil and Clerks and everything else. But if you look at most movie stars or writers that come into the industry, they come in, they give something a push, they go out. And here's the thing, and here's the hard part when you're a star. Your audience is more used to getting behind something when it's in stores. So if his audience, when a Keanu Reeves, when any movie star promotes something, the consumers are kind of used to the way they go see a movie or the way they see a TV series. Oh, they're on the talk show. The movie's coming out this weekend. I'm going to go see it this weekend. So if 4 months before a comic comes out, Keanu Reeves is out there saying, hey, I'm doing this comic. Let's say you got 600,000 people to go in the comic store. They're hyped. They want it that minute. They're going there. And there's no comic. And the comic retailer says, come back in 4 months. Those people aren't coming back because they lost that piece of excitement.
Well, that's why I said timing and the right place at the right time with the right posts are going to make a difference. Did you see the campaigns that Keanu did? He did some of the most heartwarming posts and little video clips that I've seen from any celebrity anywhere near the comic community. He was grabbing little kids and hugging them, taking pictures with them. He was really embracing and pulling people in. He's a different kind of cat when it comes to actual celebrities of that nature, because he got people, he pulled at people's heartstrings. And if that was all done during the month of launch, when let's say,
but then retailers wouldn't have carried it, but retailers wouldn't have had books on the shelf. It was a cumulative effect. Everything built on it. That's why I say what Boom did was brilliant. They built on it. Every single thing added to something else. And I agree with you. Look at what Keanu Reeves did at Terrificon last year. He wasn't advertised, but he went there for an hour to sign for people. He sat with Ron Garney because he happened to be in Connecticut during Terrificon. That guy is a fucking superstar. There is no one like him. He is so genuine, and he only gets behind things that he loves. I mean, look, this is a guy who's got a motorcycle company. He's got a publishing company. He does all these things that he finds cool. This guy is like salt of the earth. He fucking gave 75% of his Matrix money to hospitals, to the other crew members of the movie. I mean, yes, he's a different breed. If everybody was like him, the world would be a better place, not even just the comics industry. But
so
there's no way.
That's why I say it's tough to be able to say that he wouldn't. It wouldn't have gone the same. Maybe not as fast.
I'm going to shut up for Slaggles in a second. I just want to say this one thing. It's the timing of when you make the announcement that you're doing this, and then when it hits the shelf. That's why I said if he made the announcement 4 months before people started ordering it, and they all went to the store, they won't go 4 months later. People who go buy this stuff, it's like the death of Captain America. It's like Obama on Spider-Man. You got to have that book in stores the day he promotes it. If he doesn't say he's involved and Boom sells it and it sells 12,000 copies, then the day it comes out, that book becomes a $400 book because there's only 12,000 copies out there. Swag,
Yeah,
sorry.
but that argument though, they like somebody that's going to order on the Kickstarter, they're not going to get immediate gratification either.
I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna
They
be right back.
are because they put their money up. They feel like they did.
They're pre-ordering a product. I mean, you seem to really misunderstand the power of Kickstarter. A lot of people go to Kickstarter just like the way they would go to a comic book shop to shop for things, shop for books, and in particular, you know, there are people that use Kickstarter that will never walk into an LCS, CJ.
So go by the same logic. Sorry,
can I win? No. So well, what I hear is two different things, right? This because where CJ is coming from that I think I hear is this idealized version of what Kickstarter is and was supposed to be versus what it is now. Because take the Keanu Reeves example, for instance, you know, in CJ's mind, if I could speak for CJ, I would imagine a world where you would be like, well, why wouldn't Boom and Keanu Reeves' production company hire the John Wick director, and Keanu and them could have filmed Berserker, like a short film Berserker thing, stick trailer, all of this stuff, prepackaged all of these marketing materials, printed up Berserker, had it all ready, invested that because they have the capital to do it because they're a bigger entity. And then whatever, release that trailer at San Diego Comic-Con. By the way, it's out in stores next week. Tweeted it out, Instagram posts, reels, marketing material, North Star, like that sort of thing. And then it was in stores, and then they sold Berserker. Like that's one way to do it. But obviously that's more risky because they have to invest all their own capital to do it. Versus
can you imagine the reaction? Can you imagine the reaction on that?
So what I'm getting at though is like, obviously it's less risky to crowdfund it with Keanu Reeves as the face of it. And I think that's where, and I'm not even sure if people have an issue with this. I'm not even sure if this is like a thing that, anyone in the chat is like, yeah, it is kind of weird. That I'm not sure that it's a thing yet, but I say yet because I do think, and unlike like Larry, Niobe and Nick and Dynamite, like you guys care, like you guys are a part of the community. You guys come on the shows like this. You guys are, like personified behind all the products that you guys are making and have the passion for it. But like a lot of these companies and publishers, I guess, are going to start to come in, and it's not going to be like that. It's just going to be pre-sale on Kickstarter.
Well,
and
Kickstarter
I don't think it's an issue
is
now.
Pre-sales at this point. Let's not fool each other.
Well,
and the question, that CJ says is, why do they need to do this? Well, they don't need to do this. They want to do this. Everyone wants extra money. Let's just cut down
Larry,
to the chase.
So that's the thing, Larry. I mean, for sure, it's like, but it's the idealized version of what Kickstarter was supposed to be versus what it actually is.
Well, then you'll be fighting that battle for a long time. You know what I mean?
Look, Niobe, listen, Larry, you've been doing this for a while. Schwagel's been doing this for a while. I'll finish by using Berserker one more time. 15,000 people backed Berserker, but more likely than not, 150,000 people signed up for the email list to get the information. We got, I don't know, 1,200 people who backed the Transformers Kickstarter, but we have 9,000 people that signed up for the emailers about it. So when we send an emailer saying any updates on the cards or when it's coming out or whatever, everybody reads that. So 14,700 or whatever people backed the Berserker Kickstarter. The other 135,000 people get the messages and then get excited because they're seeing what's going on. Look, success breeds success. I don't think that the Berserker comic would have sold much more than 100 or 120,000 copies without the Kickstarter. I just don't think it would have happened. I think retailers got behind it. They felt more comfortable. Look at the history of actors that have come in our business who have made a comic just so that they can make a TV series or movie. 95% of Hollywood people that come into our world do it so that they have a storyboard, so that they can walk into an executive's office and say, this is what the movie or TV series is. Here you go. Here's a 32-page comic. And they lose interest after the book's done and the sales fall off a cliff. Keanu Reeves, he built the success. Boom built the success. And then they kept it going. And I think that is great. And I agree 100% with Larry and everybody else who says this brings more attention to you. McFarlane doing a Kickstarter brings more attention to everybody doing action figures. It just does. It's exciting. Nobody, like I said, putting stuff on Kickstarter is no different than offering on Amazon or in the book market or anywhere else. You're just trying to grow your audience. That's all you're trying to do. And to be blunt, you got to keep in mind one other thing. For the most part, consumers pay more on Kickstarter than they would if they bought it from Amazon. Because with Amazon, you can get free shipping and a discount. Kickstarter, you're paying full boat plus shipping. So it's people want to support the project because they feel like they're a part of it. and they will come back for more, not just from that person, but from other people. Anyway, that's my
100%
2
true.
cents.
Well,
Nick, let me ask you a question outside of this. Well, it is about Kickstarter. You did a Kickstarter with a friend of mine. He wrote something for you. Tom Hutchinson, you guys put out Bad Kitty. Are we going to expect more Bad Kitty from Dynamite in the future?
It's up to Tom. He did a good
I
job.
think he's going to tell me it's up to you. So, you know what I mean?
If he tells you it's up to me, tell him to give me a shout. Actually, he wanted to do something else, but he's just been busy. And he did some other really cool stuff because he did the action figure Kickstarter and he's had a few other things. But if Tom wanted to do another Bad Kitty, I would do it. He wanted to do Jade. I'm waiting on when he's ready to do Jade. So Tom's got an open door with us. And that's, you know what, CJ, that's the other thing. You know what? Naomi just brought up something that's actually really important. I don't know that we would have tried Bad Kitty by itself with Tom because Tom isn't as well established, but because he wanted to do it as a Kickstarter, we rolled the dice and it worked out and everybody ended up being happy. And that's why I'm saying there's an open door. He came to us passionately about what he wanted to do, and doing it on Kickstarter was a way to reach an audience that he had on Kickstarter. So we did it and it was fairly successful. And as I just said to Larry, he's got an open door. If he wants to do another Bad Kitty, I'll do it. When he's ready to do Jade, I'll do it. So so Kickstarter created an opportunity for Tom that he may not have had otherwise.
Yeah, but that's going back to my argument, though.
Critter today. I just want to give a shill for. I just want this shill for Tom. Buy Critter today from Antarctic Press.
That's going back to my argument, though. They basically the whole Bad Kitty project was an unproven entity that you basically Kickstarter created a proof of concept for.
Well, the proof of concept existed before. Bad Kitty is an older character that used to exist before Dynamite even had her.
Yeah, and we have published Bad Kitty in the past. What I'm saying is that Tom's success was on Kickstarter. If he didn't come to us, and I'm just being honest. If he didn't come to us and say, hey, and I can do it on Kickstarter, I probably would not have said yes. And you know what? I would have been wrong because he's a good writer. He did a good job. And like I said, when he's ready to do Jade, we're going to do Jade. You know, we've published these characters before. It's just about Tom establishing himself, and he was able to establish himself with us with Bad Kitty because he did a good job and people liked it, and we're up for doing more.
Follow up to this. Will these Bad Kitty books make it to the shelf?
Not as many. It did do better on Kick. I mean, dollar-wise, it did better on Kickstarter. Dollar-wise.
Yeah, but you did release them though to the direct market. Yes.
Exactly. And in regard to Mickey, he and I talked about him doing a Vampirella book one day, but he's got his stuff going on, so I got Derek throwing that out there. But Mickey and I have talked about this a few times. So
there's Tom in the chat.
Well, Nick, have your people call my people. I want to do something too.
There you go. Well, you got my contact.
Right?
So drop me a line. No,
I will, brother.
I Nick, I just want one of my cosplayers on a Vampirella cover.
Yeah.
What was that?
He wants one of his cosplayers in a Vampirella cover.
We have our cosplayer. We had a cosplayer on the Bad Kitty cover. So, but just to go to Brian Polito, has turned Kickstarter into an art form. When CrossGen went out of business, Brian acquired Lady Death again, and he published it through Boundless Comics, and it did okay. It did okay. And then, you know, things didn't work out with Boundless, and Brian went to take Lady Death back into fully in his hands and publish it his way. He went to Kickstarter, and I remember seeing an interview with Brian where, and it might have been on Billy Tucci's channel, I don't remember, where he said he and Francisco were just hoping to get $15,000 so that they could put out the comic, because otherwise they couldn't sell it in the direct market. There wasn't enough money. and then the thing like did over $100,000 in the first hour and shot up beyond anything they could have expected. So Brian has turned what was a tough market for him, and he turned it into an advantage. And Brian is a multi-million-dollar company. He has great direct-to-consumer sales. He's got great Kickstarter sales, and he's selling in the comics market. He's mixing it up well. But it had, you could sit there and go, wait, Brian Pulido, he's been around 30 years. Why does he need Kickstarter? Well, you know what? I'm not saying it was, but maybe it was the difference between him doing as many books as he wanted, or maybe it not being able to do as many books as he wanted. And the guy he's got such a great system, and that goes back to respecting the fans, and he's doing a Kickstarter every 2 months. And he
also has a full following. He's a little bit of a different dynamic. He's not exactly G.I. Joe.
Yeah, but he didn't have that cult following at that time like he has now. That's for sure.
But when he was soliciting it through the comics market, you could see what the sales were. They weren't, they weren't great. That's through no fault of his own. The quality's there. He's a great writer. He works with a lot of great artists. I blame the last 30 minutes on Swaggle Loss. That's funny.
What did I do?
I know, right? All the quality was there. All of the execution was there, whether he solicited it through CrossGen, Boundless, Coffin Comics in the comics market, or on Kickstarter. It's all the same, but he grew the audience direct to consumer, which was greater than the direct to consumer that he had on his own. Because if his direct to consumer, I'm sure, was strong, but adding the Kickstarter element made it stronger. But again, I'm going to circle back to what I said earlier. The thing that everybody should be doing is working with your colleagues to grow each other's Kickstarters, just like everybody works with their colleagues to grow each other's YouTube channels. I mean, it's like, it's like, Carl Choi, Swag works with Carl Choi. They promote each other. They both have great books, I mean, CJ, the first time I saw you, you were on Bronze's channel. That's where I first got exposed to you, because you guys share each other's platforms. You work together. And that's really the way you need to look at Kickstarter. How can I make sure I over-deliver to the fan? And how can I work with other people who do Kickstarters to grow myself and them? And if you go in it with that kind of mindset, you have a better chance of succeeding. I'm not saying you're going to succeed 100%.
I will agree with you 100% on that. Cross promotion and promoting through each other. That's a really positive thing and a thing to make things happen. That I'll agree 100% with you. Everything else, some I agree, some I won't agree. But,
shout out to Tom Hutchinson, by the way, in the chat, and he says, "Thank you, Nick Perucci."
Yeah,
Nick, you for what?
It's fine. James, I think I should just do this. I'll just make predictions and then be the reason.
Yeah. J-Man, welcome to the stage. J-Man, do you have a name in the chat that you usually go by?
John.
Okay. All right, John.
What's up? Yeah, no, thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Hello, John.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Nick,
I've been watching you guys for a long time. It's super nice to actually get to show up and have a little bit of a voice, literally coming feels like kind of from the shadows. I mean, I have no idea how I came upon you guys, how I even came into comics. It is a strange journey. And this is one of the fun things. I can't even explain it. If you had told me I was going to be a comic book fan 3 years ago, I've just told you were going to be nuts. And there is something about the comic books and the hobby that is just once you get it, it's unshakable. And you talked about predictions for the year in the past. Comic books do this to people. They've done it for people over decades. They've tracked the history of this country. Like the way I look at comic books is looking at my ancestors and where they were, like a time capsule. I'm pulling up comic books and I'm like, my gosh, this person was in this store, in this tobacco Holloway store in Lincoln, Nebraska in 1953, and I can pinpoint it. And I've got books that I'm like, this isn't my ancestor's book. This is like ratted. There's no way this is his book. And there's like a name on top. And I do research, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
This is a school friend of my ancestor. He traded his comic book. This is a trade that's now like sitting in. And man, like you go like in rabbit hole on rabbit hole, and at the same time, like I think this is the reason why this hobby is like has always it's like the gold, it's like boom and bust, you know. It's and the reason why I say that is because it is gold.
Yeah,
it's valuable.
Yeah, it is valuable.
Period.
It's also got that intrinsic like nostalgia like value to us. And you said historical. I think the historical thing is something that we need to touch on more often. And it doesn't have to be old to be historical. If you guys didn't get a chance to check out my latest video I dropped just in the recorded video section where I talk about that Spider's Web McFarlane book that he signed when Spider-Man 1 came out. To me, that's like a moment in time right there. By owning that book, you're kind of touching on that moment in time, and there's ways that happens, which is amazing. While we have Nick here real quick, I apologize, John. While we have Nick here real quick, I want to ask Nick, what is your favorite moment of 2024 for you? I mean, I know you had an amazing year. You had all these great things that happened, but I feel like one of the moments that I really noticed for you that looked really amazing was your San Diego Comic-Con. How did that?
I was about to say that San Diego Comic-Con was like the scariest San Diego Comic-Con I've ever been to, because there was so much pressure. It was our 20th anniversary. We had multiple panels. I had multiple events to go to, and I swear to God, the way I did it was, and as you guys know, I can talk a lot, but the way I did it was trying not to think about it, trying to enjoy anytime I had a few seconds, and having lots of pineapple juice at night for my throat, and waking up with hot tea and lemon and honey for my throat. But that was my high point, that we were, I mean, the panels was really important. Warner Brothers sent our licensing guy to our panel to talk about the Warner Brothers product. That never happened. Like, he came to the panel and he just, it was, you know, and then we had Sean Gunn and we had Kyle Allen and Anders Ravenstead, and there were just so many things that came together. And I will say, before any of this happens, you're sitting there on pins and needles wondering what's going to go wrong, because something has to go wrong. It can't not go wrong, but it didn't. It was really out of this world fantastic. And so, look, for a guy who never wanted to be a comic publisher, who never had the desire to be a comic publisher, it's pretty surreal to hit 20 years. I do want to say something to CJ. CJ, all cards on the table. I do have a lot of respect for you. You shoot it straight, you don't hold back, and that is honestly a cool thing.
I appreciate that. I know that I ruffle some feathers sometimes, but listen, I just talk the way I think. That's the way it goes.
There's nothing wrong with that, man. I mean, listen, the only thing I'll say is healthy criticism, healthy debate is great, as long as it's civil, and there are people that like to bully. You're not a bully. You're just somebody that you feel the way you feel. You're very consistent with the way you feel. And that's cool. I just want to make sure that with everything I'm saying, I wanted to just mention that right now, because I feel like we have healthy debates. And to me, that's all it is a healthy debate.
You're a very smart businessman, because when I blow up and I make it big, you're going to want to sign me for your publishing company.
There you go. No, but and CJ, I'll say one more thing. Here's the thing that I will throw out there for you. And I'm an old guy. I've been selling comics for maybe 44 years. So I started selling at conventions as a weekend warrior. The one thing I'll tell you, the debate that's going on about whether or not to do Kickstarters is the same debate that retailers had when publishers started doing more and more collections, hardcovers and trade paperbacks, and they didn't want to see them being sold in the bookstores, and they didn't want them sold on Amazon because Amazon discounted it because it would eat into their sales. But instead, it grew the graphic novel part of our business. And then the same thing happened with digital. Most people here probably aren't aware of this, but DC would not do digital comics for the longest time. Yeah. And then when they finally did it, they would only sell the digital comics 30 days after the physical comic came out. And fans didn't want that. They wanted it day and date. There were fans that just liked the digital experience. One of the guys who worked for me bought all of his comics digitally because he said he liked the way the colors popped. You know, he just said they're crisper. And it's a way of keeping the audience and growing the audience. So it's every new thing. There's always a reason why people want to hold it back, but we need to look at it about how to move it forward. How is this going to help? Because look, at the end of the day, look, Derek asked, how would I feel if Marvel did Amazing Spider-Man #1, a new Spider-Man #1 on Kickstarter? I'd feel really good about it if it succeeds. As long as it succeeds, I'd feel good about it. If it fails, that would be scary. That would really be scary. It does, just like in the comics market, I can't control what any other publisher does. I can only control what I do. If anybody else is doing a Kickstarter, I can't control what they do. I can only control what I do. And as long as everybody treats the audience with respect and over delivers, or at least delivers what they promise. Look, I will tell you something. I did this thing called White Sand, based on Brandon Sanderson novel. I don't know if you guys know who Brandon Sanderson is, but he's the
guy that made $42 million on Kickstarter and shut down the entire service the day I tried to launch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude, he killed it, man. You want to talk about the most successful crowdfunding book on Kickstarter? It's those novels he did.
Yes, he has the #1 and the #2 biggest Kickstarter. So we did this thing called White Sand, and I'm going to give you guys a cautionary tale. We did a White Sand graphic novel, and it took a little bit longer to produce than we would have liked. And the book got delayed, and what ended up happening was, as some people here may know, when you're going to press with collections, a hardcover takes longer than a trade paperback, and a hardcover in a slipcase takes longer than a hardcover. But we were 6 months late on the book. So we got the trade paperbacks in from the printer. We shipped them out right away. People who bought the hardcover and slipcase were pissed off. We then got the hardcovers in. We shipped them out right away. Then we got the deluxe with the slipcase. We shipped them out. We shipped out about 800 of them, and we started getting emails like crazy. 75% of the books were printed upside down inside. So we had to recall all of them, and we had to go back to press. So we go back to press. A couple of months go by. We shipped these out, and they had the one thing we tried to do was have like this sand effect on it. So we had a silver foil that made it look like sand. Beautiful. We shipped those out. Because they came to us on pallets, we didn't notice this. Once we shipped it out to the consumer and it went through the mail and everything, and people started opening and reading it, the glitter went everywhere. So we had to go to press a third time.
So you glitter bombed everybody?
We glitter bombed. We glitter bombed over 1,000 people. And we heard, and I actually went on the message boards and responded to everybody personally. I gave everybody my email address openly, and there were people that were throwing pitchforks at us, but there were people that respected, and I'm not trying to break my hand patting myself on the back. There were people that respected the fact that I got involved instead of just letting it go through customer service, that I gave every single person my email address. I posted it in their Discord. I posted it on the Indiegogo campaign. And I told everybody they can just email me directly. We refunded people. And what ended up happening was there were people who didn't get, who were waiting on the book. I gave my home address for Glitter Bomb Retribution. But no, there were people, there were some of the backers that came to our defense and said, there are a lot of people that do a Kickstarter. If they have a problem like this, they're just going to say, sorry, we did our best. This is it. But we actually went out of our way. We sent a call tag to get everything back. So just letting you guys know, there could always be a downside to a Kickstarter too. But it came back to right there, just respecting the fans. And we built a different part of goodwill on that. So
you speak of foil covers. The same incident happened to me, not with the glitter, but they messed up on part of my foil, and you can see like half of it is stripped away here,
Oh, shit.
Right? You see that?
Yeah.
Right down the middle.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we didn't get a lot of damaged ones, and I made sure that none went out to the customers, but you always got to double check this stuff,
Dude, I mean, look, everything came on the pallet and they were in slip cases. So until you took them out of the slip case, you didn't know the glitter was coming off. Because if you just open it, like the spot checking my guys did on that second load was, okay, it's not upside down. Okay, it's not upside down. They went through 200 of them. They weren't upside down. Just taking it in and out once, a little bit, a few, specks came off. But once it shipped and it went through the mail and everything and people opened it, it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
So no more glitter. Moral of the story, no more glitter on
no glitter.
Well,
no glitter, I'm telling you.
Yeah, real quick. We've been in drama alert now for quite a bit of time. So since we're gonna jump out of drama alert here real quick, give me a second. 1 second.
I asked Nick one last question.
Well, hold on.
Can you hear me out there? Hey, man, don't be squirting water at me. I'm gonna fuck your girlfriend, pal.
And we're back. All right, now you can ask that question. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, Nick, what do you got in store for Dynamite for 2025? What can we expect?
It's going to be a big year for us. We've got, I really can't say because we're making Comics Pro in February, a big launch point for us. I think we're going to surprise a lot of people this year. I don't want to overpromise here, but I think that our business this year is probably going to grow by 60 to 80%, if not double, which is scary. It's really, really scary. We're 21. We can drink now. No, kidding.
Well, that's scary in a good way, right?
Yeah.
It's scary in a good way. It's scary in a good way. I'm taking some of my biggest risks this year, and hopefully they'll pan out. Hopefully they'll pan out. I mean, look, I'm a risk taker. I'm a gambler. I'm the guy that would rather lose a hand by putting all my money in, knowing that somebody had a better hand, than folding and finding out later somebody had a lesser hand. I mean, I think I've told Brian my Vampirella story. You know, I did the one thing that I never recommend anybody do when you buy something. I did a deal where I had to make 6 payments once a year, and if I missed it by a day, they got Vampirella back. That is a deal nobody should ever do. But I also knew that having had the opportunity at the time to buy a 39-year-old icon, if I didn't take the chance, I would have regretted it for the rest of my life. So we're taking a lot of risks this year. We have a lot of big things coming. But when you have a lot of big things, sometimes they cost a lot of money. And so I'll be rolling the dice on some big projects, and we'll see how it works out.
Hey, I'm rooting for you, man. I want to see you do some crazy good stuff this year.
Excuse me, Nick. Will there be more to come in the Warner Brothers Hanna-Barbera arena?
We do. I mean, we've got we've announced some of the titles. I mean, we've got Dynamite and the Blue Falcon coming. We've got the Wizard of Oz original graphic novel by Sue Lee, which is friggin' beautiful. And if you saw what she did with Maleficent, I mean, she's even taking this to a new level. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. We've got we haven't announced who the creative team is, but we're launching Captain Planet, and it's coming out. We're trying to see whether or not we can. Earth Day is the day before Wednesday, so we're trying to see whether or not we can set it up. We want to ship it the Wednesday before and ask retailers to hold it till Earth Day, and we'll see how many retailers will actually do that. Silverhawks has been a really great book for us. That's coming out at the end of January. And there's so many more books coming out. I mean, it's a good mix of we've been really fortunate. I mean, our Terminator line with Declan Shalvey has been great. There's just so much, and when we start making the announcements at Comics Pro, you'll get a feel. It's surreal, man. It's surreal. I honestly, if you would have told me even 4 years ago, the opportunities that have opened up. Look, I actually, it took me 8 years to get my Disney licenses. I went through 3 different licensing people, and it was 8 years of politely following up. And I kid you not, it was April 1st, 2021 when Disney and Dynamite picked titles we both agreed on. And it was the contract got signed like March 27th, 2022. Just, you're still kind of in part of COVID, and just when you got a big company like Disney, sometimes things take a little bit of time. But I mean, but that took 8 years of knocking on their door. Warner
Nick,
Brothers.
how long do you have them for?
Most contracts are 3 years at a time, but you can renew, and you can, you work with them and they work with you. Warner Brothers actually took 10 years, and it was so Warner Brothers it's actually the same licensing person who's been there, and he was always polite and took my phone calls. And around year 7 or 8, he got tired of me calling him, but he said I could put in a proposal. I put in a proposal for Thundercats and for the Lost Boys, and my proposal wasn't good enough for them. The financials weren't what they needed. When you're a big company like Warner Brothers and Disney, there's a minimum you have to make on every contract, or they can't do it just because of their overhead. So in November of, I guess it was, might have been 20. Give me a second. Let me think. I think it might have been November of 23. It might have been November 22. I don't remember. But anyway, I made a joke saying, hey, I was just looking at my emails. We've been talking for 10 years. You think we can finally put a deal together? And, you know, that was kind of half a joke. And he kind of laughed and he said, put together a proposal. And I actually said, how about we reverse engineer this? Tell me what the minimum you need to sign a contract, and then I'll come back to you to try and put it together. And they told me what the minimum was. We picked a bunch of titles. They looked through the title list. They took titles out that they didn't want to, that they didn't have a plan for, because, you know, that's the other thing when you're working with Disney or Warner Brothers or Sony or Paramount. It's stuff that they have active that they want to see happen. Now, if you're successful, then you might get a little bit more leeway as you go. So they came back and said, look, here's the titles that you picked that we're cool with, and we'd like to see you do something with Powerpuff Girls and Wizard of Oz. And we're like, fine, add them in.
Hell
we
yeah.
just reverse engineered it. So, and then we had enough success with Thundercats and Space Ghost and Johnny Quest that they were like, okay, if you want to add a few more characters, add a few more characters. And that's how we got Silverhawks, and how we got Blue Falcon and Dynomutt, and how we got Captain Planet. And I'm really excited. In the next week or so, we're going to be announcing who's writing Captain Planet, and it's pretty exciting.
Hey, Nick, you just convinced me that I want you to be the first person for the next season of the influencer I do.
What do you mean?
I want you to be my first influencer guest this year. Well, I'll get to you offline and we'll talk.
Okay.
I'm going to interview you, and we're going to have a one-on-one only the way I could do it with you.
If we're booking Nick for shows, I too would like to book you for a show and an interview, Nick.
Don't step on my fucking toes, man.
I gotta take advantages when I can, CJ. That's how comics work, brother.
I just stepped on Brian's toes. Now you're gonna step on my toes. What the hell? The Swaggle's gonna step on all of our toes. What the hell?
What's your proposal?
I'm texting Nick right now. I'm just doing
okay. There we go.
Listen, I got to give you two homework to do before you guys get to interview me. I did a 6-hour interview with a guy named Ruben the Collector. You have to watch that interview so you don't repeat any of those questions.
I got homework for you. You got to watch some of the influencer series I do, so you know what to expect when I have you on.
Oh, I can't wait.
Half of my interview is going to be about Red Sonja, Nick.
No Red Sonja.
Well,
we're going to talk about other things. We'll talk about Nick.
Well, listen.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
That movie with Brigitte Nielsen?
Yeah.
Blind Adam. Is that you, Adam?
I think I should hop off so that you guys can. I've taken up too much oxygen already. I'm like 3,000 miles away from some of you guys, and I took up some of your oxygen. So
Hey, Nick,
apologize.
don't worry about it, man.
You're a couple towns away from me, Nick.
You're always welcome here, brother. You know that. But
Thanks, man.
You don't need to leave just yet, because we're getting ready to end the show. We are 3 hours and 40 minutes into the show, and it's almost time to call it a night. But before we do, I have to show everybody the winner for the books of the year, the publishers of the year, all that fun stuff. And I didn't mean to do that. There we go. So here we go. Publisher of the year is a tie right now between Skybound and Ghost Machine on this one. So
nice.
Yeah. So whoever breaks the tie on this one, that's the winner. So we'll come back to that one. Next we have, it's going to make me vote, even though I've already voted. Next we have Cover Artist of the Year, and Mark Spears wins with a 48% of the vote. Mark Spears over Dan Panosian, Souza Micah, Lobos, Jenny Frizen, and Tula Lote, which is amazing. Yeah.
Great company.
Yeah. Next, we have new series of the year, and Mark Spears Monsters and Absolute Batman are tied. So we need one more vote on that. So you guys, all these links are in the description to go vote on these. Grommets is in third place, Beneath the Trees, Cobra Commander Duke, and Rare Flavors on that one. Then next we have Series of the Year. And for Series of the Year, Ultimate Spider-Man has won over Transformers, Rook Exodus, Avengers Twilight, Green Lantern, and Penguin. And then finally, the big one. Cover of the Year is... Let's take a look here. It's going to make me vote, but it won't count it. Harley Quinn, number 38, Soza Micah Cowgirl, wins with 58.4% of the vote. It was 80 votes to 57 votes. There is your cover of the year, you guys. Harley Quinn, Soza Micah Cowgirl is the cover of the year. That's the Beyond Wednesdays House of Stein cover of the year right there. And it was fun to talk about. It was fun to put everything in a 64 team bracket, and you never know how that's going to turn out. So thanks for everybody that has voted in on all this stuff, and we appreciate you. We'll have to announce the looks like Mark Spears won that with 29 votes, 32%. Series of the year is Mark Spears Monsters. So congratulations.
You didn't think we were gonna let him lose, did you?
Congratulations on all those, you guys. Appreciate everybody that voted in that, and it was a lot of fun to do. And I want to say this real quick. Thank you to everybody that helped support this channel. It's been amazing. We're getting ready to go on our third year coming up. I believe in March will be year 3. We are almost at 3,000 subs, you guys. I think that we are less than 10 subs away. Oh, sorry. Is it less than 10 subs? Let me take a look here.
Guys, subscribe now.
Less
When
than
Brian
10?
refreshes this, I want it to say 3,000 subscribers.
There's got to be 10 people in the chat.
I know, right?
Oh, 100%. There's 160
That
people.
would be pretty cool.
We
Now you
are
gotta
at,
get all the trolls to unsubscribe. And
12 people.
12 people. 12 people, you guys, for...
Okay, we need the dirty dozen to stand up now.
Yeah, yeah. So
I got an idea. Brian. I got an idea. So your 3,000 subscribers are right around the corner at this point, no matter what, right?
No matter what, you got it.
So Larry Kinney, Lino, has agreed to do some interviews.
Ooh.
And he actually wants Mark to do the interviews with him.
Ooh.
And Mark's agreed to do them. So let's do this. Let's, if you want to, Boyd, no pressure. If you want to do an interview with Larry and Mark Wednesday, or bring them on next Saturday, or, obviously it has to work for them too.
Yes.
And what we'll do for the 3,000 giveaway, we'll give 3 Mark Spears metal books away.
Oh, my Lord. You guys, Nick, that would be amazing. And you guys, there you go. 3,000 subs. If you guys, we can get to 3,000 subs, we're going to have an amazing event for the 3,000
Hit
subs.
refresh.
Yeah.
Hit refresh. It's got to be there. Got to be
Let's
there.
see here. Is it there? Let's see here. I don't think so. We'll see.
It should refresh in real time.
291.
Yeah, see, there it goes.
22991. Less
9
than
more, guys.
9 more, you guys. 9 more.
Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sub button, man.
So that
Sign
would
on
be
to your
amazing.
troll YouTube accounts and also sub.
All right, sub it to me. I'll subscribe now.
Yeah. Yeah. So that being said, you guys, I can't thank everybody enough for help supporting this channel, and everybody that has supported what I've done ever since the beginning. And thank you to everybody that's on the show tonight. Thank you to everybody that's in the live show. And my favorite part of this year was doing these shows. 100% creating content and meeting new people and making friends, and having this be comics and the comic community and the hobby be such a part of my life has been my favorite part of the year. So I can't thank you guys enough. We're going to call it a night. Everybody that's in the live show, stick around for a minute. We are out. Much love, you guys. We'll see you Tuesday night for the Industry of Comics episode 46. Adios.
Take care, everybody.